Down. Brian, would you lead us in the invocation and the pledge?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Everybody, please stand.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for the BCC meeting. Before we get started, if you got any or devices that make noise, if you'll cut those off or put them on vibrate, we'd appreciate. If you want to have a conversation with your neighbor, if you'll take it outside in the hallway so as not to disrupt the rest of the meeting. Could be a difference of opinion in the room today. I ask that we please respect our neighbors that have joined us, and certainly staff and county commission as we go through these items on the agenda. A couple of opportunities for public comment. The first opportunity is for items that are on the agenda that you feel like you cannot stay to discuss them at that time. And the second opportunity is at the end of the meeting where you can discuss or you can make comment on whatever you would like to. Try to keep it county business if all possible. With that being said, if you'll join me for the prayer and pledge, I'd appreciate it. So may the Lord be with you. Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity to gather today to take care of the county's business. Please guide us and watch over us as we consider the items on the agenda and help these commissioners make the best decisions for all concerned. And as always, help us to treat everybody with patience and fairness and kindness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call the meeting to order. Commissioner Drake, Chairman Drake, is not in attendance today, so I will be handling the meeting. As most of you know, I'm not real happy about that. But let's keep it orderly. We're going to keep it to 3 minutes. So when you see the time getting down to 30 seconds, please start wrapping it up. And do we have any elected officials here today? Seeing none, I am going to turn it over to Brian. We got some employee recognition today.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, sir, we have Employee of the Quarter and the Exceptional Customer Service Award. For quarter 4, the Employee of the Quarter is Chris Bivens with our Beach Operations Department. And for the Exceptional Customer Service Award is Joe Ribaudo with our Parks and Recreation Department. And so we've got a few things to say about them and
We'll
a couple of
go up and
awards
take a
to give,
picture.
and then we'll do some pictures. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm going to take care of the first one since I used to be Director of Beach Operations. Chris Bivens came to work with us about 3 years ago as a technician. Technicians are the people that keep all the beach and bay amenities in good shape. They're the fix-it people, carpenters, plumbers, painters, and all that. Chris came from a manufacturing background, and he assimilated right into our group really quick, became a very valuable employee. We then saw Chris's abilities, and we promoted him to a crew leader, and he's done a fabulous job with the Beach Operations Department in that capacity. And we want to make sure Chris stays with us because he is absolutely a valuable resource to the Beach Operations Department and to the county as a whole. So, Chris, thank you. We appreciate everything you do, and we hope that you're with us for until you get ready to leave. Josh Irvin is our new Beach Operations Director. Josh used to work with us, took a little time off to go do something else, and now he's come back. Since he was new, I decided I'd go ahead and take care of this, but I'm sure Josh has recognized Chris's contributions and appreciates them as much as I do.
Good afternoon, Board. Shane Supple, Parks and Recreation Director. About 10 years ago, I had the pleasure of coming across Joe Ribaudo. I was running Parks and Recreation by myself, the recreation side, I should say, and Joe was prominent in the soccer scene in South Walton. Well, it didn't take long for me to realize that, I would like to work him into the fold someday. Well, as the county grew and got huge, it became apparent that we needed some representation in South Walton, and I needed some help, especially around 2018 when we started thinking about acquiring the golf course. Joe came aboard in 2019 and has taken off and done really well. He's more than just a recreation coordinator. He's a liaison with your local communities, like the organizations, I should say, like Coastal Seniors, Boys and Girls Club. There's really nothing that I've ever asked him to do that he doesn't do. He's one of those that he works not for a paycheck, but for somebody to say, hey, you did a great job. And I know for a fact that I could call him at any time, day or night, and I have, and said, hey, we've got a problem. It could be a water leak at a park. It could be anything. And he takes care of it. So this is well-deserved. I'm super thankful that he's on our team and he's down there. Thank you, Joe.
I would like to just say real quickly before we do the picture, I know I'm speaking for the entire board. Chris, Joe, we really appreciate y'all. We know that y'all's job is not easy, but y'all do it tremendously well. The way we know how well a job you're doing is we don't get complaints on you. So we know you're doing a great job. And it's not always easy dealing with the public on a day-to-day basis, but you guys have maintained your poise and done nothing but excellent work, and we appreciate y'all.
Everybody, big smiles in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you.
Commissioners, the next item was to recognize Angie Leddon for her 33 years of employment. Unfortunately, Angie is sick today and couldn't join us, so we're going to do it at the next meeting up here in 4 weeks. And the last item I have for recognition of guests is the Office of Management and Budget is very good at doing the job they do, and they have been recognized within their industry for the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the Walton County Fiscal Year 2026 budget. Typo in our agenda right here. So let's all thank Melissa and the people that work with her for all the hard work they do kicking around numbers and making sure all of our ledgers are in good shape.
We've got some of our staff here today. We've got our budget director, Devin Payton, and one of our budget analysts, Michelle Whidden, is here. Summer Alford is our other budget analyst. She was not able to be here today, but I did want to commend them on all their hard work and also all the departments, because the more information you get in, the better information you can put out. And this is our second year receiving this award. This means the budget meets the guidelines that are set by the National Advisory Council on State and Local Budgeting, GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association's best practices on budgeting, and it's pretty robust criteria and has to excel as a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications tool. So I thank them very much for all their hard work on this budget.
Thank you too, Melissa.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
You do all right, Melissa.
You want to go ahead and do the additions and?
Yes, sir. Chairman, we have a couple of additions. The first one is under county attorney. Clay, would you like to talk about it?
This is the revised version of the offshore drilling opposition resolution. We're requesting that be added to the consent agenda as previously discussed. Commissioner Johns is our Defense Support Initiatives Committee appointment. She has a meeting this week with him, so she'd be the one executing it under these circumstances with the board we have here today. So that's the addition we're looking for. And then separately, we would be asking either immediately before or immediately after the consent agenda to move the public hearing that is current, the only public hearing we have, number 21, up to allow some of the out-of-town guests who are here to speak on that matter an opportunity to get back on the road.
So you're saying they've watched some of our meetings?
Yes, sir. I think our reputation precedes us.
And then the second addition is under Commissioner Curry's tab. He has some interest in a couple of Senate bills that are out there. Mr. Brandon's here with that information, and we'll include that under Mr. Curry's tab.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the agenda with the additions.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Nay. Passes. Okay?
Public.
Yeah. All right. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second. Sorry.
All in favor, say
Or do we
aye.
need public comment on
Okay.
consent items?
All right, any public comment on this? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay.
Item 21 is a public hearing, Mr. Chairman, if we're going to take that at this time. That is the final reading and adoption of the Walton Forever Land Acquisition Program as presented. I would need a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the public hearing is open.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the ordinance before you takes into account the public comment and the board feedback at the last board meeting. It consolidated and collapsed a number of the issues in to make this a little more streamlined of a process. In essence, what you are doing is establishing that there is a Walton Forever Land Program with the intention of dedicating certain lands, specifically those that are currently agricultural in nature and use, into conservation by the method of recording a conservation easement on such lands. There is not funding of a specific bucket or amount specified herein. The board will have the opportunity on an annual basis to determine what funding it would use. That would be done by a resolution and as part of your budget process. So that has not changed from last time. That's remained the exact same. The partnership opportunities includes all of those former state agencies and other opportunities we discussed last time, with the goal being to dollar leverage to our advantage, leverage private donation or otherwise to make this program work. Ultimately, what we did was we collapsed the advisory board nature of this down, the staff role in this down, and made it very straightforward that as part of this program, the board will determine to go out for a competitive procurement, be it an RFP or an RFQ, for a duly certified and organized not-for-profit entity that has experience and qualification holding these lands, whether it be someone like the Alachua Forever program or anyone else in the state, or if someone locally chooses to form one here or in the Panhandle, they will have an opportunity to put in. It is a public procurement. That means it goes through the public process. That comes back before the board. You select the most qualified entity to administer this program for you. And then we would negotiate contract terms with them about how they would operate. So obviously the big one we want to make sure is in all of our agreements with whoever does this is that they are not permitted, even though Florida law would allow them to transfer these rights back to anyone once they acquire them. If they use our money to acquire them, it stays in conservation in perpetuity. This is the workaround we've developed to avoid the St. Johns County issue that came up. The criteria for selecting properties is a situation that will be selected both by that board and the Board of County Commissions in resolution. So you have an opportunity to designate certain lands in the future in consultation with that group that you wish to have included. We have removed the unanimous requirement to repeal the ordinance. It is merely a supermajority to amend or repeal the ordinance. That is consistent with what we've seen in a lot of these ordinances to provide some security that it's moving forward. So ultimately, while it is a collapsed version of what you saw before, it is the foundation or the framework for this program. The adoption of this ordinance does not allocate one single penny. It does not cause the board to start the process of allocating a penny or a whole bunch of pennies. It doesn't require the board to go out for a tax. There is no tax discussion here. That can't happen as part of this ordinance. That would have to be completely separate. So none of that's before you today, but this is a method of starting a land program that allows the acquisition of conservation easements. We're not buying lands outright. We're acquiring conservation easements to place on ag lands in this county. It gives you the ability to expand that in the future for environmentally sensitive lands or lands the board ultimately sees fit. But the pilot program nature of this is for your ag lands. So I'll defer to the board if they have any questions for me. Then certainly I know we have some other persons here today that have dealt with this elsewhere that may well be willing to talk to you. I know we had some workshops earlier today that many people got an opportunity to hear from.
Mr. Chairman? Go ahead. Motion to approve the second reading of the ordinance.
I'll second it. Can, Mr. Chair, may I comment after or during this time?
Either way.
Okay. To be honest with you, I want something like this for Walton County. We've seen and bear witness to what's happened at the south end. We see it in the central part of the county now, and I don't think we want that in the northern part of the county. It doesn't help that our state representatives keep tying our hands with handcuffs when it comes to zoning and planning and all this other stuff that we're going to talk about later today. So I am for having something like this, since I can't even suggest a moratorium of any sort when it comes to overdevelopment or rezoning for higher density. So to me, this is probably the next best thing. And that's all I have. Thank you.
I agree. I think that I was a little concerned about the ordinance because it was different than our original reading, but I understand that it's been pared down for the right reasons. I'm kind of concerned about the data buildings and the solar farms and things like that on the north end. We don't want that. We don't even really want the solar farm we have there already. So I'm for this project, but I would like to ask, Nathan, if you wouldn't mind, just for the benefit of the people that are here, just a quick rundown of your experience with these, because you've been involved with this for quite some time, and you were talking about the economic benefit and things like that. Would you mind doing that just for a minute or two?
Not at all.
Absolutely. I just think it would be helpful for the people in the audience to, if they haven't already heard.
Mr. Chairman, since our good friend has traveled a pretty good ways, would you mind waiving the 3-minute rule for him?
Just for his presentation, I'd like to keep it under 5 if we could. Please state your name and spell your last name, please.
No problem. So I am Nathan Pilardi. I'm an extension economist with the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences. Last name Palardy. So talking about the economic benefits, agricultural lands. This was covered in the presentation this morning, and just for the audience, in case anyone missed that, agricultural lands are revenue positive. What I mean by that is that different land uses are associated with different cost of public services. Farms and forest land require only 38 to 67 cents in public services for every dollar they pay into local taxes and fees. So in this, what that implies is that they pay for every dollar they bring in, the county is only paying out to those lands 38 to 67 cents. So they bring in more revenue than they cost in the public service, in terms of public services. Comparatively, residential land, which is what a lot of agricultural land is converted to, subdivisions, requires $1.38 to $1.72 in services for every dollar they pay into local taxes and fees. So that means that residential land incur more cost in public services than they generate in revenue. This is because residential development demands significantly more in terms of services for obvious reasons, schools, libraries, healthcare. And this morning we talked about agricultural easement programs as part of a comprehensive growth management strategy. They're not a silver bullet, but they are a tool in the toolbox of local governments to protect farmland, protect revenue streams, and direct growth and development to areas where it is less costly for county governments to provide services. Not only that, by having a local program, landowners in this county are more competitive. Their applications are ranked higher to other programs like the Rural Family Lands Protection Program or the ASAP-AO programs. If you do not have a county level program, counties that do have programs, their applicants will have an advantage over applicants from this county. So Volusia County, Alachua County both have agricultural easement programs. Landowners in those counties benefit because they get points added to their application for being in a county that can cost share in that way. Just to give you an idea of how competitive these programs are, there are about 500 applicants to the Rural Family Lands Protection Program. They finalized about 20 of them this past year, so less than 5% on an annual basis get approved. So it's extremely competitive. Landowners can use every advantage that they could get. Does that address your concerns, Commissioner Jones?
Absolutely, but a question too is, once the land is put in this conservation, then it can't be removed out of it, correct?
That is correct. Easements are in perpetuity. That is required in order for the IRS tax benefits to kick in.
And there are several other entities that can help fund this as well?
Absolutely. So there's federal conservation easement programs, the agricultural land easement programs with USDA. There's the Rural Family Lands Protection Program. There's the Florida Forest Legacy Program, which kicks in with silviculture and timberland. So there are other programs that cost share. USDA might put up 50%, Rural Family Lands Protection Program might put up 50%, and then the county, 25%, and then the county is only on the hook for 25%, or the landowner may choose to donate a portion of that as well, which helps spread the cost even further, helping the county program conserve as much conservation, preserve as much farmland as possible.
In your experience, has anybody ever regretted having done this?
I have not spoken to someone who has, so in my experience, no. Typically, the people who are interested in these programs are interested in them because this is what it's entirely voluntary. No one's forcing people into these programs. So it is a willing seller, willing buyer situation.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Any more questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have two speakers that was here this morning. One speaker had to leave. I just want to make sure they have the opportunity to present their presentation, and that's all I have to say. So one of them is from Montana, Crystal Beckman. The other gentleman is from USDA. I'd like to give them the opportunity to explain those programs. Crystal?
Good afternoon, Commission.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
Absolutely. Crystal Beckman, Crystal, Beckman, Beckman.
Thank you.
I work for Gallatin County Gallatin Valley Land Trust in Bozeman, Montana. And I have worked my remarks down to 3 minutes, so I will do my best here. I am here to show support for the Walton County Forever Land Program. Creating a county conservation easement program is a big step towards continuing to strengthen and a healthy and bright future. It takes visionary leaders and a value I like to call taking the long view. In Gallatin County, Montana, we just celebrated 25 years of our open lands program. Our county conservation easement program assisted our growing and changing county in protecting the character and heritage of the area, the land and its many natural resources, and the people in the communities that make up the rural landscape. The Open Lands Program in Gallatin County was designed with a simple but powerful purpose: to work with willing landowners to protect the natural resources and ag land that define our area's character. You are creating a tool in the toolbox for landowners who don't want to subdivide their land. Conservation easements on private properties protect farmland, critical habitat, water quality. Lost my spot. There we go, I'll find it. Maybe. It's gone, where I was starting from. Okay, water quality. These agreements are entirely voluntary, giving landowners the option to permanently conserve their property while continuing to own, manage, and work the land. Conservation easements are a highly effective tool in preventing development fragmentation, unwanted sprawl, and leapfrogging into rural areas. Keeping agriculture farming base is important. It helps the next generation be able to farm if they want to, or for new farmers to be able to get started. Conservation easements are an attractive tool to new farmers due to the lower purchase price of the land with a conservation easement on it. Establishing a local funding stream benefits the community as a citizen-led board can identify priority areas and assist landowners who may not have qualified for state or federal funding. The return on investment has been significant, stretching our taxpayers' dollars more than fourfold due to other federal and state funding programs. The landowners gift us all with this significant donated value, long-term stewardship, and the commitment to keeping the land open and protect the character of the area that shapes our landscape. The program's impact would not be possible without the conservation ethic and commitment to forward-thinking community members, county commissioners, and landowners. Being a part of a community that is invested in conservation is truly a gift. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to returning to celebrate your 25 years of Walton Forever Land Program. Thank you.
Can I ask you, yes, I'd like to ask you, who maintains the property? Does the owner of the property that sells it to the county, do they maintain it, or does someone from the county maintain it, or how does that work? Do you know?
So the ownership of the property stays with the landowner, and that independent entity that holds the conservation easement, they tie in and build a relationship with the landowner for a yearly monitoring. And that monitoring yearly for our program makes sure that when they go out to visit, there's not condominiums, they haven't not kept the conservation easement values that they said they would in the easement deed.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Who'd you have next, Joe? Mr. Francis, okay. USDA. Please state your name when you get up here and spell your last name.
My name is Colonel Francis. I work for the USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service. My last name is Francis, F-R-A-N-C-I-S. First name is Crenel, C-R-E-N-E-L. I've been doing this conservation easement for about 36 years. I've been supporting the counties around Florida and promoting their programs and supporting them with financial contribution. The USDA been doing conservation easements since 1996. We have been contributing to Florida since 1996 in purchasing ag land with entities and conservation groups and local government that states that wants to be a part of this easement program. We have over 200,000 acres of easements in Florida that we have partnership with, or we have worked with local landowners that wants to preserve their land for future ag and future growth for the families, for the kids, grandkids, and want to see the cows out there and see the beans out there and see the corns out there. So they have come to us with a partner to participate in our program so they can preserve their land for future ag. Land is very valuable in Florida. We realize that because we see the cost of what land costs, but we have funding every year through the Farm Bill, and I'm hearing that we are getting several more million this year just because of the bill that just passed. We're getting more money for buy more ag land. So I think the timing is right now to be a part of this wonderful USDA program because the funding is here now. And so we are very excited to work with Walton County in providing that service to match funds, 50% funds with you, and to buy the easement that you desire to buy as far as the ag land goes. So we here to support. We're here to give you all our resources that we have to use to support the Walton County goals and the mission of protecting valuable farmland. That's all I have.
Just for the record, you are a good funding source.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have money. We got deep pockets.
Mr. Francis is a Pentecostal preacher, so 3 minutes was a struggle for him.
Yeah, it was hard. It was pretty hard. I have to tell you, it was pretty hard. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Randy.
Randy Lightner, Lightner. I support this 10,000%. This microphone is too loud for me. A lot of people have approached me thinking this is some kind of scam or something. Anything can be a scam. What's a guarantee is that we're not going to have any farmland left if we don't take this chance. I think this is a really good program. But I just have 3 quick questions that I think have mostly been asked and answered, but I forgot. Number 1, have they decided yet on what percentage of property value they'll pay the owner? They were talking about 50%, maybe. That doesn't have to be decided at this point, right? Okay. Second question that I know I've asked and been answered and forgotten is what would happen to the money if some money gets built up in there through donations or whatever, but there either doesn't get to be quite enough or there's no takers, then what would happen to that money? Where does it go if it never gets to be used for this?
Alyssa? You know the answer to that?
I do not. It's not something that I have looked into as far as the nonprofit side
How
of
we
it.
get back to
I'll be happy to find out and get back to you.
Sure,
But
sure.
I like
I'm
that
just-
answer myself. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it would set some minds at ease to know that if this doesn't pan out and you've got all this money sitting here, here's exactly where it would go, what we would use it for, maybe even to, the future ag center. It needs to stay with something agricultural and be that guarantee in writing.
Mr. Chair?
I have to say, I'm more afraid of having too much land and not enough money than I
Sure.
am too much money and not enough land.
Me too, but I'm trying to kind of hit on things that people I've talked to are concerned about to get the answers. In the last.
Randy, I wanted, while that's still fresh, I wanted to see if I could throw something on this. When we write this up, can what she said be in that ordinance? Can it say, if something happens or where we don't have this program anymore, this money X goes to Y? Can that be put in there in the final draft?
It can be in the resolution.
In the resolution? Okay.
Do you have the answers?
Maybe they can answer it for us.
Okay.
The issue was funding, and I was just talking about this with Mr. Francis, that in talking about the competitiveness of these programs, and talking about the competitiveness of these programs, 500 applicants, 20 get across the finish line because funding ran out, and that's with millions allocated to these programs. From what I've seen, the few years where the Rural Family Protection Program has had additional funding, it is simply rolled over to the next year, and then it is spent. Usually there's not an issue of this money going unused.
I'm sure, but welcome to Walton County. You better
Sure,
have that
absolutely,
right.
absolutely. There's other county programs, they might have some language that could be incorporated into this to address that issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Leitner?
It does, but I still think it would be prudent to have a plan for that
I do
in
too.
place that makes people happy, just because, transparency, and I want to see this go through, so I want as few questions and doubts about it as possible.
Great question.
The last thing that I just want to have someone a little smarter than me explain, maybe Mr. Johnson or some of these guys. I've gotten a lot of questions about they think it's a property tax scam. Either people are trying to get out of paying property taxes, or somehow it's going to force them to pay more. And I've explained it to the best of my ability to these people. Several of them are watching today, but I just get kind of a blank stare of either I don't believe you or I don't understand you. So if possible, I'd like for someone to explain that.
Somebody did say about it was a tax benefit.
Okay, and I'm going to sit down because that was my last question. Thanks.
And Commissioners, if I could just interject real quick, in the ordinance now, it does specify that any funding for this program is put into a separate fund and not to be commingled with any other county funds. So this can only be used for this purpose in this program. You cannot just take it out to use it for something else. By putting it in a separate fund, you've got it segregated where it cannot be used for another purpose.
Yeah, and I fully understand that part. I'm just letting you guys know the questions that are being asked regardless of all of that. If 25 years down the road this doesn't pan out, y'all give up on it. They want to know where that money's going to be spent.
So related to the value of the land and how the land will be taxed afterwards, when you establish a agricultural conservation easement, it lowers the market value of the land because you've taken away the development rights. It is still on county tax rolls. Now, the family does benefit because it has reduced market value, so it is taxed at that reduced market value, and it is ag land, so it is taxed at the ag rate. But does that address the question?
Yes, somewhat. It's a benefit.
It's a benefit. It's a benefit, yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to offer some clarity, and Dr. Polari may answer this, Joe Johnson, but it's my understanding most agricultural properties is file an agriculture exemption. When you file that agriculture exemption, and that tax base goes from a market value to a set price, that set price, if it's 10,000 an acre, it's still agriculture exemption, which qualifies. I've always used the rule of thumb, if it's 40 acres, then that ag exemption is going to cost you about $2 an acre, about $80. I don't see where this is going to affect the market value on it because you already are getting the agriculture exemption. Now, if you don't have agriculture exemption, then that may be a different status, but most ag land is agriculture exemption. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson, then Mr. Bagby.
No show today. I'll just keep it simple if I may. Donnie Richardson. Real quickly, I'm a dying breed. I'm a farmer, and I'm seeing agricultural land lose every year. 2 years ago, we had 3 farmers that were family farms in Walton County that did 1,000 acres or more. Row crops. We're down to 2 now. And so, we're vanishing in a hurry. So we can't keep kicking this down the road. We got to do something now. I serve as the chairman of FSA board here in Walton County, and just give you a little idea, in 2024, we reconstituted 176 farms or 176 pieces of property. What that means is someone bought them, or either they were divided in the family. That farm was divided, but we did 176 in 2024. In 2025, we did 230 farms were reconstituted or sold or either broken apart, either parts of them sold. So that's what we're looking at. That's why we got to move quickly if we're going to do this. I don't have all the answers. I think we need to move toward the program. We'll have a lot of things to be worked out, but I think we've got to make an effort. If you go to Okaloosa County and get on Poverty Creek Road and come towards Walton County, it is a nightmare. And it's coming on us, and it's coming in a hurry. My biggest concern I spoke this morning about was water. We're going to get in trouble with water in this county if we don't do something pretty soon. I've never seen it as dry as it is right now. The creeks and all that's dried up. Show River only flows 2 days a week right now. So, we're really dry and we keep pumping more and more water. We got to do something to try and slow some of this down. because we don't want to be like these big cities or towns and all where we're only allowed to wash our car on certain days or one day a month. We don't want to get to that point. But if we keep letting things go, we're going to be there before we know it. That's why we got to stop now. Also, pollution. The world's a perfect place, but when humans get involved, then that's when they mess things up. And we got to be very careful about pollution. And these open spaces gives us clean air. That's how we have clean air, is the trees and the plants take the carbon dioxide out of the air and produce nitrogen, produce oxygen, which is what we need. And so that's why I'm saying we need these open spaces. I encourage you to look at those numbers because they're getting bigger and bigger. Like I say, 230 in 2025 farms that were dispersed to 176 in 2024. The number's going up anyway. Thank you.
Mr. Bagby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Jim Bagby, BAGBY. First, I want to thank Commissioner Gladwell for bringing this forward. I really want to thank my good friend, Mr. Johnson, for pushing this. I also want to thank Crystal for meeting with me yesterday for about an hour. I strongly encourage you to adopt this. The reasons are real simple. It's non-mandatory. It's voluntary. So you're not forcing, and too often government forces people to do things they don't want to do. This is just providing people an opportunity that they can put their land in this, and it's not forcing them. So anybody that does it, it is totally voluntary and up to them. They get to make the decision, not the government. The second reason is it's flexible. You know, you can put as few or as many dollars as you want into this program. You can say we're going to use this as a funding source, but nothing prevents you from putting more money in there during any given year, because there's always a lot more demand than there is a requirement for the supply. And finally, I would say it's participatory. You know, you become part of the solution. You become an important part of the solution because you say, look, we're going to work with the Rural and Family Lands Program. We're going to work with other entities to help preserve exactly what it says you're going to preserve up there: pride, preservation, and conservation. And this program speaks to the heart of what this county is about, the conservation of the property. We've seen too much of it developed. We need to help people protect it. And that's what this program does. And I thank you for bringing it forward, and I strongly urge you to pass it.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Madam Clerk, Barbara Morano for the record.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I want to thank the 3 commissioners that were at attendance at the meeting this morning, because you heard more than 3 minutes. You heard fantastic speakers talk about why we should adopt conservation easement. I want to thank Joe Johnson for bringing these speakers in this town hall meeting, and Commissioner Gladwell bringing this together this morning. When this was first presented, I was very positive. I am still positive, and I asked for more information. We got that information, not only this morning, but Joe Johnson was even working Christmas Eve to pull this together and make sure this happens today. I'm excited for Walton County. We need to think of the future. As Mr. Bagby just said, I support everything he did. And as Mr. Richardson said, who I had a pleasure of really getting to know much better during this process. I sincerely hope that we get the positive message out, and I think the positive message today is going to be when you pass this ordinance. So thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Kim Falconer, FALCONER. I fully support this program. I think all of you may have received an email from me on Sunday regarding why this is so important now with this New York firm that's just marching across the panhandle of Florida, buying up hundreds of thousands of acres, stating specifically for AI, data centers, solar farms, and development of our rural lands. They have a team of lobbyists in Tallahassee that are pushing These three bills that are going to be taking, if passed, will be taking away our local control, your control of what happens to our local lands. So this is really an urgent program to get in place. 900 people a day move to Florida. The opposite of conservation is almost guaranteed development. So I ask that you support this program.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Seeing no other, we'll call for a vote. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay.
Thank you. May we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody that was here just for this thing that wants to leave, we'll give you a few minutes to leave, okay? If you want to stay, you're welcome to stay.
I want to thank our guests that drove in and flew in to come and talk to all of us and explain this in such great detail. Thank you very much.
Go Gators. Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Yes, sir.
Next item is number 16, Parks and Recreation.
And before you start, Mr. Curry wants to move one of his items because it talks about the golf course after we finish this.
Yeah.
Since it kind of goes with this, it shows the reporting and the money, so, I mean, however you want to work it, Brian.
Yeah, you go after this, if you don't mind.
Hello, Commissioners. Shane Supple, Parks and Recreation Director.
Justin Alford, Food and Beverage Manager.
Do we want to talk about the final numbers first and then go to 16, or how do we want to?
Let's go ahead and talk about the final numbers first because it dovetails into your item.
Exactly. Yes.
So, Mr. Curry?
It does, it shows everything that pretty much, for the year end on everything, rounds played, expenses, revenues, all that. First one is rounds played, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Shane, if I say anything out of line. But we're almost up 5,000 rounds for the year.
That's correct.
And as you can see on the graph, you can see the busy months, the lower months. I want to move on to gross revenue. You can notice that with the change that we did at the beginning of the year, we have went from a continuing climb of up towards $1 million a year loss, down by cutting expenses and raising the prices a small amount. You're still getting a good bang for your buck if you go out there and play golf. Be a member. Membership fees are up. They did not go down with the price change. It's just a lot of positive. We went from, as you can see, from comparing 2024 to 2025 right there with the blue and the orange. I hate saying that S-N-O-W word, but we did have some snow days in the beginning of 25 that kind of messed us all up there a little bit, but kind of hard to find that white ball in snow. You want to go to gross expenditures, you can see where our expenditures overall have went down, which absolutely helps the bottom line. So if your revenue's up and, of course, if your expenditures are down, everybody has a smile on their face at the end of the year. We are climbing close to having sustainability with this golf course. Like I said, going from almost $1 million a year in the loss, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, again, Shane, we're looking at roughly under 200,000, 160,000, somewhere in that range.
About 162,000.
162,000. So that's a far cry from $1 million. And remember that those losses were coming straight from the general fund. We were using, those were tax dollars that we were subsidizing all of this with. To now we are slowly sustaining where the golf course is funding themselves. Almost.
The only thing I would change is the members are 518. They're now at 528 after this weekend.
So that's a new record. We were 518 was a record. Now it's 528 is a new record. All right. So now just to give a little bit of insight, the raising what Shane's up here today to do, we're kind of, we've discussed a lot. I've discussed with Brian and everything else. And even when we were at the beginning of the year, you wanted to take small steps to see where that even, because we don't want the golf course to be in the money-making business. To me, in my opinion, we just need it to sustain itself. And by taking small increment steps that way is better than just going ahead and saying, all right, let's just raise it up to whatever all the other golf courses are. You're not touching the membership fees here. You're just hitting the regular play. Like I'm not a member, so if I go up there and play, I'm going to pay $48. $48 for a golf course of this stature is phenomenal in Walton County, Bay County, or Okaloosa County, to be honest with you. So you're asking for that $3, which would give us just under maybe if nobody else went and played golf next year and the same numbers are ran, we'd be close or at under $100,000 for a loss for a year. So I think that's phenomenal. That's called good work from Shane's staff. That's putting attention where it needs to be at, and the complacency of we're okay. Well, we have some issues coming up this year, and we're going to talk about that again with all these bills that are coming out there that impacts our general fund when it comes to infrastructure items, roads, bridges, everything. So we need to be as conservative as we can on things that we can be conservative on, which is this. If we have the opportunity to make an entity less of a drain on the general fund, and I think we need to take that opportunity. And if it's small increments, like a $3 regular play upcharge, then I'm all for it. We are working on the bar and grill. That is, you can see that changing the FTEs has improved over the last 3 months. I think changing the menu items, sometimes I think they're playing it back and forth to see what's best to benefit the restaurant type in there. So I think that's going to be our next headline or goal is to try and set some goals to improve the bar and grill. Is it getting that cart person out there more frequently? I don't know what that is, but that's what you guys get paid to do. So, we'll sit down and hammer it out and see what happens. It is by doing the FTE, and correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, it has went in the positive direction the last 3 months by focusing on that, on the expenditures. So, overall, I think this is a good report over the year, and I agree with Shane's $3 increase. Just let's carry it out with the year and see what happens at the end of the year. If it shows that we made a little bit, maybe we'll back it off. But I think it's a small step to sustainability and less money out of the general fund. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve this.
I don't know if we need a motion.
Oh, we need a motion.
Oh, you're talking about the pay increase?
Yes, sir.
I did want to say about the restaurant that once we did make the changes in October, that expenses have dropped by over 57%. We're down to $11,000 a month difference, and that's during the winter months. When the spring and summer months come around, especially with the beverage cart, we see that balancing out.
Overall, I think we're in the right going the right direction now, and I think it's positive. I really do.
And on the golf course side, this particular instance, not in other things countywide, but we are super blessed to live in a county in this business that there's so many people. We're actually starting to think in terms of we have to limit memberships. We're at 528. We can only house so many people. When you start talking about doing 40, 45, every year we're going up 10% or more on our rounds. So when you look at our numbers this year and think, and I've already looked at this year's numbers, we're surpassing this. You're talking about 3,000 rounds. That's a lot of people, not a lot of time. So.
And with that, you got to consider as you get busy. I'm sorry, Chair, I didn't mean to. in there.
We gotta-
Okay.
Let's do that. Nick.
Okay, yeah, all right.
He's got.
And he's got a
I
second.
seconded it.
Okay, all right.
Well, I was just going to say, as you continue to get busy, the next thing you know, you're going to be up here asking for another FTE. So, that's why we have to, stay ahead of the game. And I think this is, again, a small step to stay ahead of that game.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Gladwell.
Whose idea was this?
We met and we discussed, trying to get to a break-even point, and we felt, as talking together, that not touching the membership, but doing the daily rate by $3, which was going from 45 to 48 for county residents and 52 to 55 would get us closer to that break-even point.
But when we started this, if you take out the COVID years, we're on track exactly to break even, which is where we're supposed to be. We are not supposed to make money with this thing. So we're on track. If you take out the COVID years, which nobody could have anticipated when we bought the thing. So all you're doing is putting a tax on the people who use this park, and no other user, with the exception of Marshall Springs, no other user and no other park has to pay a fee to use the park. So either we need to go to everybody paying, or, we just keep hammering this one place. And I don't want to say why, but it's a $3 tax increase in the middle of the budget year. That's all I look at it at, and I'm not in favor of it. I don't think it's necessary. I think you're going to break even at the old prices anyways, because the usage is going to continue to go up. The place is beautiful. Y'all have done a miraculous job. That was a Yopon forest when we bought it, and it's now beautiful. And there's no reason to just, now the grill, we need to continue to shore up. But if you run that beverage cart like it ought to be run, I don't think that's a problem. So I don't think we need to raise the fees in the middle of the budget year. I think we need to see what happens, unless at the end of the year we'll see where it's at. And you're just hurting your customers. And at some point you're gonna run people off. It's just the truth.
Thank you, Chair. We really can't put Eagle Springs Recreational in the same category as a Grady Brown or a Helen McCall. As far as I know, Helen McCall doesn't sell tequila sunrises and burgers and fries and all that down there, or rent out golf carts and have 18 holes and has to take care of 18 holes, cut the grass. The way that a golf course has to be. So you have to separate that. And I respect Commissioner Gladwell's statement, but you can't just put a golf course in a category the same as a swing set park. There is so much involved in a golf course and the bar and grill that it just cannot be in that same category. So when you're talking about physical responsibility, you need to look at what entity you took on as a challenge and not keep it being a burden on the taxpayers. There's a lot of people that don't play golf that talk to me every day. I get battled with all the time because before I got up here, I said we shouldn't be in the bar and grill and the golf course business. But I swallowed my pride when I got up here, and I sat down with the ex-county administrator and Shane and everybody, and I said, hey, if we're going to have this, it needs to sustain itself. That's the only way I can sell it to the people, is if it can sustain itself and not be a drag on the taxpayers. And this is what we have done. We have went from and we keep blaming everything on COVID. The Cowboys didn't have a good season this year. I'm going to blame it on the COVID. Stop with the COVID blaming. you know what, we took on this entity, and if you go back to when we did, it was well, we're all right. We got in-house people that can do this. It doesn't matter. We pay for this. You know, we paid $1 million for the, irrigation system. It's all okay. No, it's not okay. We have some big choices to make this year. Again, our state representatives aren't helping us. We have roads, no impact fees, no mobility fees, and we want to continue to subsidize Jack and Cokes and golf when we can be responsible and make it sustain itself by a small percentage of people that play the game. I don't play it all the time. I'd be welcome to play $70 at this golf course. I don't care. But we can't just keep blaming it on COVID, kicking the can down, and see what happens next year. No, we're losing money right now. Let's fix something right now, not keep kicking it down the road. Thank you, Chair.
Well, I'd like to answer.
Go ahead.
You're next.
First of all, you can't keep blaming state government for our problems. We were elected to do the job here, and it's not the fault of Tallahassee, everything that comes up. So if you want me to quit blaming COVID, you quit blaming the state government. So meanwhile, if I got a list here of accounts that we would have to cut if property taxes are cut, and every park in this county is subject to be closed because we won't have the money to run them, except one, Eagle Springs. Because Eagle Springs is almost breaking even right now. So we're fixing to put, $9 million in the Helen McCall? We will never get any of that back. So if we're going to have a plan to break even at Eagle Springs, we need to have a plan to break even at Helen McCall. We need to have a plan to break even at Grady Brown, because people are making money at Grady Brown, at Cessna Park. They're making money going out of running them charters out of there. We've got all sorts of parks that people are making money on. And to just single one out is not right. And there's 39,000 rounds been played last year. That's a lot of folks. That park is used more than any other park in the county. It just is. So, and luckily we can make a little bit of money off of it. We can recoup some of our investment. But I just don't see another rate increase for the people who use that park. I'm not voting for another rate increase.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say Helen McCall, if it were built when we first started this 5 years ago, it would have been a whole lot less money, less than half of that. So,
and just for the record, I don't want to do any of that I just said. I just saying what's fair for the goose is fair for the gander.
I understand. But I want to ask you, Justin, you run the restaurant. How is the restaurant doing? I mean, I by the way, your food is fantastic, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you. It's a slow season right now, usually December, January, starting towards the end of February as it starts ticking up a little bit more. But we're starting to get the cart out a little bit more the days that it's not freezing cold, where our cart grows freezing out there. But I think once at middle of February, once it starts warming up, that cart's going to help out a lot. Right. We've seen more golfers come out there and eat a lot more now. Just the cart being out there, we've seen the numbers go up just from the cart being out there as well. So
you foresee a pretty good change coming up in the next season.
In the coming next season, absolutely.
Everybody's out. So you're going to get closer to the breaking point there.
A lot closer, especially now that our employees, their costs are down and everything else. That's helping out tremendously.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. That's all I wanted to say.
I kind of agree with all of you, and that's kind of hard to say when it's total opposite. But my problem is, and Mr. Gladwell touched on that, I'm not real comfortable doing it during the middle of a budget year. I would be more comfortable at the end of the year if we sat down and we still had a problem, then let's raise the rates. However, we need to raise the rates. But it's going to be hard for any county facility that charges to ever break even, because we don't get to charge off our equipment. And they go through equipment like it was, going through a box of candy out there. It's just hard on the equipment. So that's not allowed for government to do. But I worked for a company for 30 years called the U.S. Postal Service. And people griped all the time about not being in budget, and they were 100% right. But what people didn't know was the Postal Service was not allowed to make money. And if they made money, the Postmaster General went to jail. So them missing their budget by 5% may be $400 million. That's how big of an organization it was. So they are missing their budget, but every year they're getting closer and closer. So I would like for us to talk about this at the end of the year when we go into the budget process. I think that they'll be real close, and I'll be disappointed if they're not in getting closer to being even, but you're never going to be dead even. That's impossible for a business like that. So anyway, I would not be in favor of raising the rates at this time.
One more question.
I got one after her, Chair.
Shane, you came up with this $3, right? So you feel, and you're the one out there.
Well, I mean, if our goal is to break even or come close to break even, when we met and discussed it, it was decided that this, with 528 members now, the member fees don't change, the cart fees don't change, the range balls didn't change. The only thing that would change would be if you walked in off the street and you were a county resident, instead of 45, you would pay 48. If you were out of county, instead of 52, you would pay 55. On the weekend, it would be 50, instead of 52 for a local, it would be 55, and instead of 60 for an out-of-county resident, it would be 63. That's the $3.
People that are members for the annual membership, there's no change?
There's no change in the membership fee or the cart fee, just the walking off.
Based on those numbers that you have, that it's going to take us in a situation where we're making too much money, correct, or making any money?
I mean, if we go off last year's numbers, we did a deep dive in and we figured around 15,000 rounds were off the street. So you're looking at $45,000 or $50,000 just off last year's numbers increase. But we're already seeing, like this January is much better than last January because we don't have snow. So we're like almost doubling what we did last January. So in October, November, December were fabulous months as well. So it's hard to say. We're growing so fast, and then with local courses closing down and stuff, we're seeing a tremendous influx of people playing golf. It doesn't matter what the weather is anymore.
So you think there's a possibility without the $3 increase of breaking even?
There could.
Your opinion's going to weigh heavily on my vote.
Well, I mean, there could be. It's hard to forecast the future or what happens in the future, but I feel like with a $3 increase, we're definitely going to.
Who was at this meeting that decided this?
It was Melissa, Brian, Commissioner Curry. You were there. Were you there? You were there. We were all discussing it.
Well, let me go back because he just about broke his
who was
chair.
at that
Well, wait a
meeting?
minute.
Oh, who was at that meeting?
It was Melissa, Brian, myself, Justin, Commissioner Curry. We all sat down and Brian and I talked about it.
First of all, why is one commissioner in that kind of meeting and not all of us? Second of all, I'm very disappointed.
All right, mate, can I, before he breaks his chair again? If you remember right, when I first got on here, there was none of this huffing and puffing when I sat down with them when I first got up here and had this meeting, and we decided to make the changes. So I don't know what happened within a year to where we're huffing and puffing now. You had what, 8 years prior to me getting up here to focus attention on having this entity go in the right direction, and it wasn't done.
We hadn't even owned this thing
Chair.
8 years.
Chair?
Go ahead, let him finish.
I apologize.
So and now all of a sudden I come on board and I try to take some ownership into it with staff and say, hey, what do you need? What's the problem? What can we do to make this sustainability come to fruition? And now I'm the bad guy because I sat down with a meeting with these guys maybe someone ought to pick up the phone and coordinate their own meeting with these guys. I don't see a problem with that, but like I said, we decided 3-2, I believe, because now Chair Anderson couldn't vote when we did the rate change the first go around, that we would look at this at the end of the year. Now, I could go back and find that meeting to where I made the vote and everything, but I think I explicitly said, let's take a look at this at the end of the first year after we go and look through these quarterly and see where the trend is going, and then tweak it one way or the other. If we see that we're going to make more money than breaking even, then we cut it back. If we're not going, I've never been in a race where you get 5 yards before the finish line and we go, nah, I quit. We're close to the finish line on getting this to break even. And for some folks that are supposed to be physically conservative, I find it hard to believe that we're going to quit the race. But hey, it's your vote, sir.
Yes.
What is the effective date of this change?
It'll be February 1st.
February 1st. Okay. I actually brought this up years ago when I first came on board too, so trying to get things to go in the right direction, and they're going in the right direction, and I think you're doing a great job moving it in that direction.
Thank you.
And I think that this summer, when you get busy with the restaurant, you're going to find that we're going to be more even than we've ever been before. So,
And I'll be the first one to take the money back.
well, true, because we can't make any money. We're not in it to make any money. So, would you consider changing the date from 1 February to maybe, the 1st of July or something?
I'm going to leave it with Shane since
I mean,
when I get involved.
listen, the board, you guys do the policy and we execute. It's just that simple. If you say you're happy with where we're at, we stay where we're at. If you give us direction to try to break even, sooner the better. If not, it's not personal for us. We're just trying to do what you guys want us to do.
The question is, do you think that you have a chance to break even without the?
I mean, if you look at projections now that we've been there 6 years and you see the trajectory that things have been on, I mean, eventually I would think you're going to hit a ceiling where you're going to start to level off a little bit. We haven't seen that yet. I don't know when that point will come. It's hard to project into the future and see what's going to happen. It certainly doesn't look like it's going to slow down right now. I just thought the little small increase would, if it did slow down, put us over the hump, so to speak.
If we didn't make the changes at the beginning of the year, you're looking, instead of being 162,000, probably the trend was anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000 in the hole that it was trending. We made the changes at the beginning of the year, and now I just can't believe we're discussing how we want to stop when we're almost at the finish line. We're talking about 160. If we make $1 over the next one, I'll be the first one to make a motion to cut it down by 25 cents. Whatever that amount is to break even, I'll be the first one to make a motion. Record it, write it down, whatever you want. But I just don't see why we want to stop. If we're going to be this physically conservative body, why we want to quit when we're almost there. But that's just me.
Well, I got to say, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with going. And if, in fact, we do get to the point to where we're making money and we're not supposed to make money, then we can change it at that point. Yep. And there's nothing wrong with dropping it down, So I've already seconded the motion. I'm not going to change it.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience? You guys step back. I can't see. Ms. Leitner, come ahead.
Randy Leitner, Lightner. I've been so proud of Commissioner Glidewell lately. you just killed all of that. You act like, I mean, you're just behaving like a spoiled middle child that didn't get it.
Excuse me, Ms. Leitner, we're not going to talk about commissioners like that. And
Well, then I won't give you the compliment I was just about to.
That's fine.
No, it needs to be discussed because this is ridiculousness. We've got one commissioner and one commissioner only who does not chastise Commissioner Curry, who's doing a wonderful job. I'm not saying everything is just right. If you got a problem, you can act like a grown-up about the way you address it and ask questions instead of breaking chairs and acting like a fool. And that commissioner is Commissioner Anderson, and I thank you for acting like a reasonable adult in these situations. I don't even remember half of what I was going to say now. It's completely absurd to sit here and compare other parks to a golf course. I don't care what you say, it's a golf course. It may be inside a park, it's a golf course. It costs a whole lot of money to operate. I don't think anybody expects a free golf course. And I know that you were being a little facetious and sarcastic there, but it's ridiculous to throw out, we need to start charging for every other park. That said, I also disagree with Commissioner Curry. I don't think you need to raise the rates anymore. I think things are looking good. What was it, 160-ish thousand loss on the golf course right now?
162, I believe.
And 248 for the food?
Yeah.
So things are looking good. The food still needs some work. That's certainly not Justin's fault. I was a member out there for years and years. No restaurant's ever been able to be productive there. But they're going in the right direction. I think it's really and truly time right now to leave Shane and Justin alone. And 1 year from today, let's come back and look and see how things are looking. And as long as things are staying, they're still trending in the right direction. With Commissioner Curry's help, they have done an amazing job. They've finally gotten the support that they need, and they're turning it around. I think we need to leave them alone, let them do their job for a full year, and then come back. And when we come back, let's not act like children and say we need to start charging $35 for kids to go swing on a swing set. That's stupid.
Could I?
Yes.
I agree with you, and I apologize but I am passionate about some things, and one thing is I don't see the reason to tell people they got to pay more for a taxpayer-provided service, and that's all this is. Now, y'all, people have wanted to call it a business. We can't be in a business, and it cannot be a business. It is. I
don't think anybody wants it to be a business, and that's.
But
you're kind of beating a dead horse here. I understand all of that, but a much better way to say it would be, I don't think we should raise rates. I vote no.
I agree.
That's all you had to say.
But I'll say this too.
Start talking about charging Helen McCall Park and that's stupidity.
But that is if you start down this road and you start charging at one, then before long.
It's a golf course.
But it's a park.
Oh, for God's sake. I'm not wasting another second of my time on this. You sit there and you flap, everybody here knows that's ignorance.
All right, let's tone it down. Let's tone it down. Just a second. Mr. Atkinson, if I'm correct, I'm not allowed to vote on this matter.
Based on your prior accusals, the fact that you, the chair, didn't announce the start, yes, my advice would be to recognize the chair as doing the standard abstention he has previously done.
Okay.
But as the chair, he does have to call, and he has the right to discuss, so if there's a question on that.
Ms. Morano. Madam Clerk, Barbara Morano is coming up.
Barbara Morano. I supported the last time that Commissioner Curry wanted to increase, and I also felt any negative responses about not doing it sold the citizens of North Walton short. And this is selling the citizens of Walton County short. $3 is nothing to break even. That's the goal. And what happens if you don't approve this? Then you're going to slap Shane's hand at the end of the year and embarrass him. Why didn't you make it break even? When he's standing up here asking to do that. we need to support Shane, really, and his group for what they want to do. If you even have money going over this, put it towards the pool. That needs an improvement. It's not perfect. Am I right, Commissioner Curry? It's not perfect up there.
I'm sorry, Barbara, but we spend $50,000 to make $8,000 on the pool right now.
Oh,
Just to let y'all know.
they have spent it, okay, to improve it? I didn't know that.
No, that's what it takes, $50,000 to operate that pool to make $8,000. Anybody up here who had a business that had those kind of numbers would not have that pool.
Okay, so that's another issue. All right, thank you. So, to sustain itself, I think you need to go ahead with it. I think Commissioner Anderson asked Shane, and I think Shane was very honest with that. You're talking about, and you're not changing anything else. You're not changing the membership. The people who are members are going to slide by, but you're going to have equipment issues. You're going to have ground issues. You're going to have even expenses you may not even realize. I don't think you're going to break even at the end of the year if you don't do this. And I think it's smart business to go ahead, move with this, and I think you have the support of the people who were always negative about this. And it is a golf course, in my opinion. So thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Please state your name and spell your last name when you get here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Warren Whitaker, Whitaker. So when I first heard that the county was taking this golf course over, I wasn't for that at all. I didn't think we need to be in that business. I really didn't. I thought it should have been taken by a private entity, turned around. Would it be as affordable as it is today? Probably not. So that being said, as I'm getting out and I'm meeting people and I'm listening to them, this subject has come up just the other day. It's funny, we're talking about it today. First off, the people that I've been talking to are a little bit upset about the price increase, but they still said it's a beautiful place to play. And I'm not disrespecting you people, but he's worked hard. My next question was brought to me was this: have you changed the menu at all?
Come up here so everybody can.
Could you come up here, please? I mean, I'm not going to bite you. I promise you that, Justin. So when I first was out there, I never play golf, but I heard the restaurant was good, and they had a great Monte Cristo at a great price, and the beverages were at a good price too as well. The same people that are kind of complaining about the fees are now saying they're not eating out there now because you went into to-go plates, and it's just not as receiving as it used to be or as desirable as it was. I didn't know, and then I found out that there was some changes had been made, and so that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm representing those guys, those people today to see, is that your plan forever? Are you going to always be in to-go plates? Or are you going to go back to restaurant style? What's your plan?
We're going to probably go back to restaurant style. The plates, we've seen a little bit of decrease just from the going to go boxes. So we are going to start going back to plates. And we don't have the breakfast anymore. We cut the breakfast out.
That was a good one. That was good.
We got a lot of complaints on that one.
Bet
But
you
a lot of
did.
people did like the breakfast up there.
I bet you did.
And, but as for now, the breakfast, I would like to eventually later on bring the breakfast back, but for
Okay.
now, that wouldn't. But just, I mean, there's no difference in putting it in a to-go box, honestly, and on a plate. I was just testing it out for the time being with things we cut back so far on the staff.
Okay.
I didn't want to overextend my staff.
I understand.
So it was easier at the time to put it in a to-go box. But now I think we can handle back with plates.
I got you. Okay. Well, I'll let them know that when I go
All right.
back.
Yes, sir.
As far as the pool goes, you're right. I can't run a business would cost me $50,000 and only making $8,000. So I have to agree. Maybe we should just shut the pool down.
Chair, can you stop his time for a second? Just to reiterate I think what the problem was, and that's my opinion, I'm not an expert in restaurant, but it seemed like when we did the restaurant, we did it in reverse. Everybody that I talked to, including staff, we went from right out of the gate to five-star dining instead of let's start down here and work our way up. We started up here, and now we're working our way down, and we're trying to fight ourselves to find where that happy medium is. I think that's what the bar and restaurant or the bar and grill is doing right now, is trying to find that happy medium. You did it completely backwards. You don't go all into five-star dining when we bought something that was already losing money. So that I think that's where you're at now, is you're trying to play around with what works, what doesn't work. I think you guys even told me some different food items that you might be looking towards in the future and what's selling. I think I even did went out there and did a Walton showcase video at one time and advertised your food. And showing what's the best seller. And I did that for a purpose. And I think we got to gradually get back to what works and what doesn't work and take out what doesn't work. If it's hamburgers, fries, and a club sandwich and a Monte Cristo, then that's what we focus on. But we can't, in my opinion, we can't have a menu that has 9,000 items on it, and then you're buying all this inventory that's sitting in a refrigerator that's not being used. I mean, it's all that. Like I said, I think we started out at the wrong end. We should have started down here, worked our way up, but we started way up here with anticipation, with five-star dining, and it never came to fruition. So, thank you, Chair.
Can I piggyback on that? That was not your fault at all.
No, it wasn't.
That was the commissioners that wanted you to do that at that time. They wanted you, from my understanding, just before my time and before your time, but you were kind of told what to do, and it really wasn't what you wanted to do. You knew better, but you did what you were told to do. So you're trying to satisfy all of us, and you're trying to find what's working. So I hope that we leave you alone and let you find what works, because you're the restaurant guy, the business. So thank you for putting up with all of that, and I know you're trying to find the right spot. I know you're doing different things to make sure you get there, and I think you're going to get there. So, yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Shane, I have one question. I was out at Blackstone. It looks like it's closed. Do you think that might have a possible that you're seeing more people coming into our golf course now?
Since Blackstone closed on December the 1st,
Okay.
I think we've had 30 more members, but yes, we've definitely got some of
That's
those.
that's why you saw the update. Okay. All right, thank
So wait a minute, Shane, don't go nowhere. So if Blackstone comes back up, what about them numbers? Are they going to stay the same? They going to grow, or are people going to start playing Blackstone
we were
again?
at 505 before it closed. So,
And I know that costs more.
and I say,
It's all about competition.
when I say we've seen some, I'm not talking about 50, maybe 10.
Okay.
So,
If Blackstone started right this minute repairing that golf course, you're looking at 5 years.
Okay.
yeah, the longer,
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate it very much. I just, like I said, I wanted to express the feelings from people. I don't play. I never have taken it up. But I did go to that restaurant, and when it first opened up, it was delicious food. I'll give you that.
I agree with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Anyone else? Mr. Bagby, this is going to be the last one. Mr. Bagby, you raised your hand, so you can come after this.
Tabitha Howard, Howard. I agree with Dan Curry. I do think that the cost should go up for the additional $3. But then also, I'm sitting back here listening, but it is a golf course. It's not a restaurant. Because if I go play golf in Sandestin, guess what? I'm eating like bar food, or what you eat at a golf course. And with it competing with the restaurants here in town, and it loses so much money to begin with. I do think that they're doing a good job right now, as they are, because we're not almost $500,000 in the hole, or $500,000 in the hole with the food costs. We're now at $248, and collectively we're at $410, collectively losing at this time with the golf course that's costing the taxpayers. So, and there are, as Barbara had said, there's going to be equipment costs and things of that nature, and if the other golf course does open, then yes, then our numbers will go down. And I think, $3, it's not a big, it's $3. And that's it. But I don't think that we should be competing with our local restaurants here and leaving it as a golf course with, golf course food. It's a golf course.
Say one thing briefly.
Come up, Jim.
As regards the restaurant, you're exactly right. We did not, first of all, there was not a restaurant there. If I remember correctly, the restaurant had already closed. We rented it or leased it out a couple of times, tried our best to get, because nobody really wanted to be in the restaurant business. Neither one of those efforts helped. So we decided to do it on our own. And we started out trying to be a restaurant instead of a golf course, bar and grill. That was the truth. That was a mistake. And we've paid for that mistake over the years. And if we would get back to a basic menu, and with the beverages make money. So, yeah, I agree with you there. On the restaurant, we need to scale it back to the way it should be. I'm in complete agreement with that. I have no problem with that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Bagby, BAGBY. Thanks, Loretta. You know, I wasn't going to speak on this, but I don't have a problem $3 on the daily rate. Full disclosure, I have played the golf course, and it's gorgeous. You know, the county's done a magnificent job, and like some of the previous speakers, I probably wouldn't have bought the thing. The problem I think y'all have is with your business model, or your lack of a business model. Some of the folks in this county want it to be the country club it used to be. Some of it want it to be a park, okay, with a municipal golf course, which is probably what it should be as long as the county's paying for it. The problem is you already put one golf course out of business. Now, I'm not saying entirely it's the county's fault because that thing wasn't on strong legs to begin with, but you did. You made competition, you made below pricing competition, and of course everybody knows that competition won because it was subsidized and backed by the full faith and credit of the county. You got to figure out what the business model is. You got three entities there. You got the pool, you got the restaurant, and you got a golf course. Some would say you also have a park, but the park you ought to pay for just to keep it up because it is a county park. But the golf course ought to pay for itself. The restaurant ought to pay for itself. And if it's just a bar and grill type thing where you come and get your hot dog or you come and get your sandwich and you go back out on the course with your beer, that's fine. You know, and the pool, you ought to get rid of the pool, build a pool someplace else, Olympic size, because no business entity would spend $50,000 to make $8,000. You need to dig that thing up or put in Olympic size there and make that the county pool or the municipal pool with the city. But your business model is not working the way you're doing it. $3 on a daily rate is not going to make a difference one way or the other. You're not raising all the membership. In fact, what you may end up doing is incentivizing some of these daily rate members to become, or not members, these daily rate users to become members, which will help you. But I agree with Mr. Anderson. You know, Blackstone's not coming back, not for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, if ever. So you need to make this what you want it to be, and it ought to be able to at least break even or get close to breaking even on all three of those entities, or you need to get rid of those entities, particularly the pool. So, yeah, I'm in support of the $3 and then revisit it, like I think Commissioner John said, at the end of the year. And you might use the golf course to subsidize the restaurant or subsidize the pool if you want to keep the pool, but you got to get your business model working. Thank you.
Mr. Bagby, we have a motion on the floor.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I know this is just about the pool, and I agree, we're losing a lot of money by maintaining. It's an old pool, I think it was built in the 1960s, and I think Shane would be really happy to have that thing filled in and put some grass over that, you know? And then the property we just bought south of there, you know, we could put a pool down there, a nice big Olympic-sized pool, and it would be fun for everybody. What we have right now is a real eyesore. So I'm all about that. So
All right, we have a motion on the
can we include that in the motion?
I'll change.
No, this is merely a resolution, unfortunately.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
And one abstention. You get it?
Passes.
2-1.
2-1. Okay, we're going to take a short break. About 10. Okay,
Ready, Mr. Chair?
yes, go ahead.
Moving on to number 17, Mr. Scott Caraway with Public Works will present.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. We're bringing forward a request to award invitation bid 26-04 to the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder, Three Rivers Construction Company, in an amount not to exceed $118,288 for the County Highway 83A timber pedestrian bridges renovation, and approve and authorize the chairman to sign this contract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you because a lot of folks have called me about those bridges, and it's well needed. So
They are.
Thank you very much.
Yep. We had those budgeted in our 5-year work plan. Yep.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. 4-0.
Mr. Chairman, our next couple of items are with the Tourism Department, and Matt Algren and Kelly Carter will be presenting these items.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. Kelly Carter, Director of Marketing for Tourism. The first thing that I have on the agenda is something that you all are very familiar with, the Marketing Event Grant Program. That program is very similar to how it's been in previous years. We did make a couple changes to that program as based on some feedback we received from both the TDC and this body. And with that, we set some parameters for an after-action report that has to be completed in order to be eligible next year to apply for grant funding. And we also, the TDC requested that we raise signature events to be capped at $25,000. A signature event is a large event that attracts multi-day visitation and is something similar to a 30-day Songwriters Festival. And then experience events capped at $10,000. These events would be something similar to like a Bloody Mary Festival or something like the Gumbo Festival. This program would be straightforward as it's been in previous years. The only difference would be the after-action report. This after-action report will be something that if it is not completed and turned in with the reimbursement request, then you will not be eligible to ask for money in the following year. This is also something that would this program will start October 1, 2026 and get run through September 30th, 2027. But as you all know, budgeting begins in that April timeframe, and I have to have, we need to have set forth how many events are going to be. So as presented, I would ask you all, I need a recommendation to be able to move forward so that I can put this program out for the public.
Motion to Go ahead.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any more discussion with the board? Any discussion with the audience? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. 4-0.
Thank you so much. The next one is something that is brand new. It is something that we have talked about previously in with this body, but also with the TDC. And in the November meeting, they requested that we go back and we look at something that was a little bit different than the marketing event grant. The marketing event grant is large sums of money, and they wanted to have something a little bit smaller, like a sponsorship grant. So the team went back and they looked at what we could do for a community event sponsorship. And this is something that's very small. If you are a one-day event, you can receive up to $2,500. And if you are a multi-day event, you can receive up to $5,000. This would not have the stringent reporting capability, the reporting abilities of the other grant program. This is more in line with a true sponsorship. You also, the recipients of this money, if approved, would also not be held to just using it for marketing. They would be able to use it for things that they may need in order to sustain the event, that may help the event grow into something bigger, where they make it approve or make it apply for the marketing event grant. So this would be something that runs the same time frame, but again, it would only be you would only be eligible for $2,500 or $5,000. Also, one of the things before you receive the money as a sponsorship, you would show the team how you would use our logo, what you're going to let us know what you're going to use that money for, and then that is another thing that this after action report would have to be completed in order to be eligible to apply next year. So one of the things we're trying to do with these after action reports is make sure that we know what's going on with the events and that we are getting information from someone other than just the event. So if this is approved to move forward, it would be something that we would start now, and it would run the same time frame as marketing event grants, and it would be awarded for that October 1 through September 30th.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Now, we discussed it. We're not adding an additional money amount. It's going to be like you just said, 500, 504, 505. So we would take a little bit of that.
Yes, sir.
Put it over into that other category.
Yes, sir. I do believe that based on how the money is spread out through these smaller events, that they would want to use the $2,500 or the $5,000 as the community event sponsorship rather than have all the stringent reporting and all of the extra work that you have to do. And it would also give them the ability to not use it for marketing. And we don't anticipate it being more than 20 events. So
I just wanted to make sure that we had some type of overall cap.
Yes, sir. It's still the
creating another coffer and just putting an endless supply of money in there.
No, sir. As far as the TDC, they still wanted to keep that at that $500,000 mark. And if that's something that, if I was to come back to them and say that we had more from that, that would have to be a larger discussion before we move further.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Any discussion from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. 4-0.
This last one I have is a citizen's request. It came from Miss Diane Pickett for Summit on the Circle. Miss Pickett had applied for the marketing event grant program and was not awarded money because the event did not read as if it was an open event. It read more as a conference or a meeting, and that was the way the team that evaluated it kind of looked at it. However, she did make a presentation to the TDC, and the TDC agreed that to approve moving this forward at $5,000 for her for marketing abilities, that I should move it to you all and let you all discuss how you would like to move forward. She is requesting $5,000. There are two ways we can look at this. We could look at this as doing it truly as a marketing grant, as what we've done before, and she has to use it all on marketing expenses. Or there was an audience member during the TDC meeting that suggested we use this as a beta test for the sponsorship, the event sponsorship program, and we could use it like that. I don't have this budgeted, but I have spoken with Melissa, and I do have 2 events that are in the marketing event grant program that are not going to happen, that they have written to me and said that they're not going to happen. So I would have the money to cover that $5,000 through that program. And Melissa says that it's very similar, and I would be able to do that. Is that correct, Ms. Thompson? So it's kind of up in the air of what you all would like to do. The TDC did pass it 4-1 and to bring it to you all.
What's the wishes of the board?
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
I'm going to second for discussion. At first, we have deadlines for a reason.
Yes, sir.
And we discussed that. But then you told me that little caveat where there's 2 other entities that weren't going to receive any of that funding. And you said you got with Melissa and they could transpose that. My only concern is that if we do this for this person, as soon as you leave here, you're going to get another phone call from another entity that's saying, well, you did it for that one. Can you do it for me? But I do want to take into consideration that the TDC voted yes for this for 4-1. If I was on that board, I probably wouldn't. I would have been whoever the one was. I mean, but the TDC, I want to respect their wishes. It's a hard decision because we make deadlines for a reason. So
if the board approves it, we do need them to designate whether this would be event sponsorship or community sponsorship so staff knows how to evaluate it too. So that's going to need, if we do move forward, that will need to be made part of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins.
Go ahead, just a second, go ahead.
While I did, with hesitancy,
I saw that.
to approve, the has nothing to do with the event per se, but over the years, we've tried to get out of, the coming up and asking for X number of dollars, and we've backed off from that a lot over the years. And if we do this, the downside is you're opening the door to everybody and his uncle coming up here wanting $2,000 or $3,000 to $5,000 or whatever, and that is a problem. I mean, it sounds like I'm speaking against my own motion, but I guess it is sort of a Pandora's box that you open with your own at peril.
Yes, sir.
So we can put this on the record, Ms. Carter, the money you're saying you're pulling out, would that have been out of the South Walton TDT funds or the North Walton TDT funds?
It would have been out of the South Walton TDT funds, as all of events are funded out of the South Walton TDT funds. Yes, sir.
So I think that's probably something to bear in mind, that would basically force this to be considered in the event grant program rather than the community sponsorship or partner program.
Yes.
Melissa's nodding as well, because that has to be by area.
Yes, sir. And the only reason I brought the other portion up is because it was part of what was talked about during the TDC meeting.
No, and I certainly think this qualifies for that. My concern is the money that's
Yes.
now been identified is coming out of a pot of money that can only go to a North Walton event if it's under the event grant program, as opposed to the other.
So the money would need to be, so if that's the way you all chose to go, the money would have to be used for marketing. The money would not be able to go towards anything other than marketing the event, because it would be under the same guidelines as all of the other events currently we have.
I think that's an important distinction. You are going to use the South Walton dollars to fund the event because that's what it's being transferred out of. And I just want that on the record, because somebody's going to come back and ask, well, you did this later, and you're right, you're going to get other people ask for exceptions, and they're going to want to know how to do it. This, I concur. I went back and listened. I concur that this type of program this type of project would probably be very consistent with what you just adopted under 19, under a smaller program for a sponsorship. But since we don't have any money for that this year, you're going to have to fold it under the event grant. So I'll defer to the board. It is the board's call. This question comes up at the TDC. It comes up here all the time. Are we opening the door to people? Yeah, you're going to. But can you say no to them? You can, but you're going to have to say, well, why that one? Why not this one? I think you just need to put your reasons on the record if we're going to do it.
We had a time frame that this was to come, and that time has come and gone, and it wasn't selected. And to the point that several of you have made. Helps if I turn it on. Thank you. I believe that to the point that has been made is that the door was closed on this, the time frame for this, that it has come and gone. And if we allow something like this, we are opening the door wide open to have something every meeting where somebody's wanting money for something else. We have guidelines for a reason. We have our everything that we run by is in writing. And for us to deviate from that is really not fair to everybody else, I don't think. And for that reason, I mean, great to have an event, but if this money has to be spent solely on marketing, and it's something that's more house in nature or something along those lines, I just don't understand why we would be, it didn't qualify when it came to the board the first time, so I don't know why it would qualify now when we're outside of the time frame and we're outside of our own rules. I mean, we have these rules for a reason, and I think that we need to stay within them. So for that reason, I'm not voting for it.
And as you can tell, every commissioner up here, even the ones that made the motion and the second, reluctantly did it. So I agree with them. I think that they missed the boat. They can apply again next year.
Okay.
And I just think we need to stick. There's nothing wrong with having money left over. And,
No, sir, there's not.
you know, what happens next year when the two events that were approved come back and want to be approved, and now there's not enough money for them to be approved. So we've all been here long enough to know that if we do this, we're going to have everybody that did not get approved come back to get approved by the board. And I just think that it's too late for this one, and that's how I feel. Mr. Curry?
You were saying something about, Mr. Atkinson, about the north end and south end funds. If this is a north end event, is it not funded through the north end dollars?
No, so the event grant program, our sponsorship, the event grants, the true ones you always deal with, have always been 100% funded out of South Walton TDT because it has always been part of the South Walton, the original tourist development plan.
Okay.
It is lawful to fund projects anywhere in the county as long as it's part of that original plan. Okay. We've now created a new Walton County Community Event Sponsorship Program, if I'm reading this somewhat lengthy title correctly. Because that's going to be a community-based sponsorship program, smaller areas targeting things that are not solely just large-scale event attractions, and that's a different tact. That necessarily was not in the original plan for South Walton, so it's going to have to be north-south split.
Okay.
So that's where I was coming from is, I agree, the proper way to not break the event grant program rules and open this door to everybody would be to treat this as kind of the pilot program, or I think a beta test it was referred to as, and treat it as that type of program. The problem is there's no money for that type of program yet, and the money that was found came out of South Walton dollars, which it couldn't be. So you're going to have to treat it as an event grant program, which you could use South Walton program on, but you're now opening that program back up. And the note here does indicate that it looked like this was, had applied but did not receive funding through the event grant program.
Yes, sir.
And so that's, I want it all down the road because I get what the TDC recommended was something to be considered, but at the same time, they hadn't gone through Melissa where the money was. There were a lot of unknowns about how it would be funded. And no, it's not a large sum of money for the TDC's budget and what they put their money out here for, but it has to be done right. So it's to the board. If you want to open up the event grant program and let this one back in late, you have that discretion.
Do you have everything ready to start this? When would this program start to where people could apply?
So
But it'll be part of the 27.
20. Well, I mean, this new one, the new one that you're talking about.
It would not come into, the money would not even be available until October 1. However, we would take applications this year so that we could ensure that we meet finance's budget constraints to get it in there. So typically, we start taking applications in the end of January, and we finish them up the end of March. And then that gives us an idea of how many applicants we have and kind of where it is. And the TDC moving forward, we'll go in and score those, and then by the May timeframe, when I have to have absolute numbers, I will have that for Ms. Thomason for finance. So I don't have any money I don't have any money in the north portion of Authentic Walton's budget, just because all of that has been all that is appropriated.
So it appears, I mean, I'm not a fortune teller and I don't play one on TV, but it looks like right now it'd be a 2-2. So that would be a fail, or then they could bring it back up again. How does that work again, Mr. Atkinson?
The motion would fail because it ties, because there's no action on the issue, it wouldn't move forward. So, I mean, yes, somebody could technically bring it back up if they wanted to, but the event's in April. At some point in time, you're getting so close, it's not going to be particularly viable. So there's a practical issue with it, but could it be brought back up? Yes, I guess it could.
I can't vote against my own motion, but you can vote how you want.
I think I'm going to pull my second.
Okay. Anybody else want a second? Seeing none, fails for lack of a second. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
23.
23?
You have an add-on?
Mr. Curry,
Yes.
time for you.
You want to do the, I guess, the add-on? Is that which one we want to do, or we?
We can start with number 23 if you'd
Okay,
like.
23. Okay. I just wanted to give a quick update on Choctaw Fire Station. They are starting the drywall, but I wanted to put out there, and I told Brad, because I heard through the grapevine his list is just growing and growing with in-house jobs that he's doing. If there is something on that project that he would like to farm out or get a bid on that will relieve some of that, I'd be glad to sit down with him and see what we can do on that, because I know he is busy. But it is looking absolutely fantastic. We had, I went in, I won't ask you no questions, Brad. But I did pick up that's a nice stove that was donated and dropped it off, so I got a sneak peek on the inside, and they're doing a fabulous job. Your guys are absolutely awesome. But I just wanted to give an update on that, because I also wanted to reach out. I went to a potluck at the Choctaw Beach community last Friday, and I have about 15, if you count the husbands, if the wife makes them, about 21 or 22 volunteers that would love to go over there and do some landscaping to relieve some of the in-house stuff, some pressure water, anything that we can do that wouldn't get us really in any kind of liability trouble. I brought this up before with a volunteer program. I just want to know where we're at with that. What can we do as volunteers? What we can't do as volunteers? What do they got to sign? What's a hold harmless? Where are we at with that? Because they're itching to start helping. So
I know we're in the process of developing that policy. We've looked at a few other not-for-profit volunteer policies. We've looked at what the sheriff's done. We expect we should have something for the board's approval at the end of this month is where we are.
okay, I'll send that back. Again, I really wanted to. I'm glad Chair Anderson brought you up here, because I did want to give you kudos. It's fantastic. So thank you, Brad. That's all I have on the Choctaw Beach. The main thing was the volunteers, because I didn't know I was going to get that kind of response when I asked them at the potluck, and almost everybody in there was either being voluntold by their wives or they signed up. And so,
Can I ask you a question?
yes, ma'am.
Have you removed any portion of that building like that? Are you planning to?
Well, the fire station where the trucks go in, Brad has said that it's in disarray. So it would be best to leave the roof, which is in good condition, and take the sides down and make it an open pavilion.
Okay. There you go.
And in the middle building, I think we're still flipping a coin on, because I think that was an appendage that was put on there many moons ago. I don't know where it was. I'm looking at the photograph album that Miss Gina gave me from Choctaw back in 1975 or 76, and I don't see that appendage on there anywhere. So, but I think that's the only thing that would possibly be taken out of there, and that's going to be up to Brad if it's structurally sound and all that good stuff. So I'm leaving it to them. I just said, hey, here's my picture. This is what the people at Choctaw and Villa Tassel told me. Can you make it happen? So that's
I think those. You're copying that Legion Park swing.
Yes, I love those swings at Legion Park. Those swings at Legion Park are
That would
fantastic.
be a good place to do that.
Yep, absolutely. And I think, I'm not going to call them up here, but Buddy and Chance said something about the parking area. You can't add that many parking spots there. It might be 8 to 12 since it's right off there on 20. He also said that they're still working on the fishing pier and kayak permits with DEP. And just a little sitting in there with the Wayside Park. I think the guardrail, if you can just shake your head Chance, it's in a couple of weeks they'll start the guardrail in front of the splash pad. Okay, so.
All right, number 25.
Let's see.
We skipped 24.
24, I'm sorry. Got GIS overlay.
Okay. I'm not sure if GIS is here. Are they?
He's here.
All right, good. I think I brought this up, I don't know, a meeting or two back, and I really wanted to, because we have so much going on in this county, development-wise. And I keep seeing Freeport's map, where they're showing, basically in a baseball term, what's on deck, who's at home plate, all that good stuff. And you can see it and filter down, where the developments are coming. I would love to see us formulate something, and I got with Stephen as well, to put some filters or create our own that would have an overlay of Defuniak Springs developments, Freeport's developments, and the county's developments, and we could filter them one at a time or put them all down, and then we can look at the county as a whole and say, holy cow, we got 20,000 units between Defuniak and Freeport and the county going in a 50-mile radius or a 60-mile radius. What are we doing with roads in that area? What are we doing with infrastructure? What are we doing with sewer? What are we doing with water? Right now, I don't think, and I wanted to have an in-house meeting with all the municipalities and everything so we can ask each other what we're doing, what's our plans. I get most of my information off of Facebook and Nextdoor. And I live, might as well say I live. I work in the community, common grounds there at the government center. So I just wanted something that we could look at, the citizens could look at a whole from a distance, at all the development that's coming in, and we could filter it by layers. We could filter it by what's approved, what's not approved, what's ready for DO, all that. We can have those filters in there. I don't know if I'm asking too much or not enough. So
I spoke to Stephen also, and in fact, he's in the back. They already have something in planning, of course, with the county development, and they have a GIS analyst on board that updates all the county developments, and Stephen might be able to speak on that behalf. Are they capable? Maybe number one, I think several things you're going to have to work with: the frequency of the updates, the quality, what's involved with it. Are the cities able to give that information and that data to us? And so those things can be worked out, but that's what we're going to have to look at as well, So Stephen might be able to add to that.
Yeah. Good evening. Thanks. So I've reached out to Latilda with Freeport and with Chris with Defuniak. Chris has already provided an Excel sheet with their projects and their information. We may need to do a little bit of tweaking to get the geo information correct, to create or add to a point layer that we have. That process, it's been a long time since I've worked in GIS, but it shouldn't be too difficult to do once we have the correct information and we have it in the right format. Latilda's super busy. She hasn't gotten back to me with her information or a process of sharing that. Currently, we just focus on the development order side of it. We don't do BPRs, LTMs, things that.
If I had a wish list, I was putting everything on the wish list.
Sure. And it's possible. A GIS is certainly capable of doing that. We do have some gaps in our current software. EnerGov doesn't work with our GIS well. Hopefully, when we do this analysis coming up, we'll speak more about it. Hopefully at the next meeting, we'll be able to get our systems talking so that when we do have a new application in the system, it'll actually create a geo point in a shapefile or in our GIS system. So. Yeah, these are all things, good ideas, and things that would be a benefit to the county, to Public Works, to whoever uses our map system. So, yeah, we'll chase it down and see what we can do.
Perfect. I mean, that's all I can do is ask.
And again, we just wanted to see what maybe the format, if the city had the format already, then we wouldn't have to rebuild it.
Sure. Right.
And so if it's paper-based, then we would have to, of course, build it.
Yeah, I was hoping that there.
Already have it. I don't know.
I was hoping that the software could talk to each other. I didn't want to create any more manual hours for the employees. I was hoping that there was some kind of mesh with the software systems that could talk. They could just send it two keystrokes and their information is in. So that's why I'm asking you guys. Does SwiftGov need to be involved in this? Do they have any insight in this, or that's just questions
also,
I have.
I guess Paxton, if you
right.
Development as well.
Yes, sir.
Pertain to them as well.
It would, and I suspect that Latilda probably keeps that information, so she'd be able to give it to us at the same time.
But yeah, in terms of formatting, it's something that when they update, if they just send us an email with that updated shapefile in it or something like that, we can probably just update our
Be a
information.
shape or a geodatabase or however they want to transport it, or,
Yep.
you know, we'd have to sit down and discuss that.
I got you.
It's doable,
Okay.
but again.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear.
We have to reach, you know, those avenues of how, you know, they're going to accomplish that to us.
Yep.
And again, Devin does a great job.
He does, absolutely.
On the county, so he's already doing that, so it would be, I would think, fall within maybe that area.
Yeah, we'll work
Since
with the
it's
cities and
developments.
figure it out. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We already have an interlocal agreement with all the cities anyway, the sharing of data, and so that will fall within that avenue.
I just think it's another step to see what everybody's doing. You know, I mean, you know, what's Freeport doing? Well, I don't know. Did you go ask them? When I could just look at a map and say, hey, they got 5,000 units coming to the same intersection that we have 10,000 units coming to. Buddy, what are we doing with this road? Or, you know, we got enough sewer, we got enough water. You know, just questions that would come up after you saw something like that is what I'm looking for. So, thank you. I don't think I need any motions or anything.
Thank you very much. I think 60% of our audience is on their cell phone. Are you listening?
Budget. This should be pretty quick. I'm just requesting that we, this budget year coming, I would like to see more workshops, and if I could, and I've talked to Melissa, some of the bigger departments, if we could have workshops with specific departments, so you could break down not every pencil and every eraser, but we look at a department that's, you know, 25% of the budget or 20% of the budget, and we can drill down a little bit further and kind of ask the questions that need to be asked instead of, you know, a couple workshops in June, July, and then all of a sudden it's the last budget and everybody's like, well, what about this and what about that? I know some people don't come to the budget workshops. I get that, but if we still need to, I think in my mind, offer that opportunity. So the ones that do want to come and express the concerns of departmental drill downs have that opportunity. So would I need a motion for that, or could I just request a workshop when that time comes? How does that work?
So if staff is willing to set some of those up and there's no objection from the board, it can be general direction.
Chair.
I mean, if the board wants to formalize the process, that's a motion.
I think that 2 of the meetings that we had last year, nobody from the public showed up. Nobody. So there was one that was staff that nobody showed up, and I believe there was one that you had, Melissa, that no one showed up.
The staff workshop in August, we did not, it was pretty much just staff there. And I don't remember it seems like one of our workshops with the board, I don't remember if we had any we really did not have a lot of public participation in that either.
We did.
Well, now that I know that a commissioner can actually go to a workshop, I'll be in attendance to these this year. So.
I do think one of the things that's being done around the state addresses what's going to happen if the property tax initiatives pass. And I know Wakulla's already had one. I think Charlotte had one, and others are planning it. But I think we need to have a workshop where we have Ms. Thomason tell us what our revenue situation will be should any of these or all of these pass, and then decide what we're going to have to cut. For example, Wakulla did theirs and determined that they would have to cut about 20% of the staff. They would have to close or cancel all their capital projects. They would cancel or have to close all their parks. They would have to close their libraries, and they were still short. So I will say that I've talked to a lot of people around the state and in Tallahassee that know, and they tell me that Walton County is in the best position of any county in the state to handle this, because about 17% of our ad valorem properties are homesteaded, whereas a county like Wakulla has over 50%. So, but $33 million
Yes, sir.
is what the minimum we would have to cut if that was just on homesteaded. That would be a substantial cut, and we need to be prepared for it. So I think we need to have that workshop, and we need to give the list to the public and let the public tell us what they want to cut. I mean, the capital projects would be a no-brainer. That's $20 million, but out of 77 million, I believe. But I would certainly be amenable to having that workshop.
We could start off with that one. I mean, I think sooner the better. I mean, I don't think we need to wait until mid-year or 75% into the year. Yes, sir?
So let's talk some dates. So April 1st is when budgets are due from the departments to OMB Finance. Revenue estimates also around April 1st. Outside agencies, middle of April. And then we have major budget scrubs with OMB and county admin with each department starting June 10th. So you're talking about having budget workshops in between April and June.
I mean, at least the one that Commissioner Glidewell would be the first one in my mind. That's the most important to see what we,
Well, maybe
what we
we
actually
could have
gonna
that in March.
I was going to say, did you want to wait that long? We could go ahead if,
Or do it right now, for that matter.
if the board's amenable to it, I can just coordinate with admin and the commissioner's offices, and we'll get that scheduled.
Do I need to make that a motion? No?
No, you do not.
If we're going to have additional budget workshops, and I'm not opposed to that, but what I would say is we have one in Defuniak and we have one in South Walton. I think having at least one in Freeport and maybe one in Paxton would make things more transparent.
I agree.
And I don't have any problem with that, but if that's fine with staff, I mean, I don't want to overburden staff, and I do think we need to try to get a better crowd there.
And what we did last year is tried to make it a little more convenient for the commissioners, because I know, you end up traveling, you have different schedules. We did the north and south end meeting workshops on budget meeting days. That way we were able to take a couple hours before the, board meeting days. We were able to take a couple hours before those meetings, so we'd just be adding Freeport and Paxton if you're amenable to that.
Sounds good to me.
So are we going to have, giving Commissioner Glidewell kudos on his suggestion with the larger workshop. When would that one be, as you said, March? Would that be March? And is that going to be at every location or just
We would just need one of those.
one? And where would that, you're thinking, be held at, or is it too soon to ask?
Do you have a preference?
I'd say
I want
here.
wherever the most folks are going to be able to attend.
I would say before one of your board meetings, let's figure out where that falls. Don't put it on spring breaks and things like that if we're doing it in March. But let's do it before one of your regular board meetings.
Okay, all right. Thank you. While we're,
26?
okay. So, Chairman Drake's not here, or I was going to tell him apparently our federal lobbyist did watch that meeting and basically said they don't want to be, they didn't want to sign with us because I was going to bring up that I haven't heard anything from our federal lobbyist on what we got for our money, and I was going to ask Commissioner Anderson if he was going to second my motion like he said he would. But we don't need that anymore because we don't have a federal lobbyist. And I wanted to see where we're at with that process and express my concern that since we didn't jump on it at that time, now we're behind the 8-ball trying to get a federal lobbyist. So I do want to thank Commissioner Anderson for stepping up and was going to make that and do that at the time. But now you see that I guess we weren't that big of a fish for them to go after. So where are we at with a federal lobbyist? And since we didn't have one for a year, what are we going to get for our money?
So purchasing has the RFQ developed. We'll have it before you at the next meeting for approval to advertise and take in information from proposers. And then we'll pick a lobbyist exact same way we did before. And that's where we'll shortlist them. And then you, the Board of County Commissioners, gets to interview and choose which one you'd like.
And we are going to have in this contract where somebody comes up here, be it our legislative liaison or that firm, give us some kind of updates.
We will make sure that's included, just like the state lobbyist contract currently has.
Perfect. I guess I'm done beating that dead horse. 27 chair. I didn't want to have a long discussion on this. I just wanted to ask staff if they would have, because I'm getting all these questions because I know some of you have seen social media blowing up on some of this stuff. I would love to have a workshop and have the parties that control short-term rentals explain in depth how a short-term rental is done. What do they get for their $300? When they register, if the clerk's office has to be involved, if the ones that aren't registered, how do we know that they're not paying bed tax, so on and so forth. So I didn't really want to have a discussion here. I just wanted to, those are some of the items that I'd like to have at the workshop if I would be allowed to have a workshop with the staff on short-term rentals.
I think it'd be appropriate in that case, since it's not going to be a workshop of this board that staff's setting. Let's go ahead and put it in the form of a motion to direct staff to conduct that workshop.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to make that motion. Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Anybody from the audience want to discuss it? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Thank you, board. Let's see here.
Last one will be your addition we added.
Okay. I know I brought this up before. And I'm pretty sure I stated it would be nice to have a heads up on some of these bills that are going to affect Walton County in one way or the other, just so we know where we're at. Well, as usual, I get my information off of Facebook and the 1,000 Friends of Florida email and Lynn Edwards email. And I think there's a couple other ones. So if Mr. Brandon's here, if he could come up and kind of walk us through some of these things. I mean, one right off the bat is SB 208, which has already went through, Community Affairs with Representative Trumbull and everybody else saying yes on all this. And to me, maybe I won't have the same outlook. It looks like a hybrid of SB 180. It seems like I need to ask if all the commissioners are going to get complimentary handcuffs whenever these Senate bills are being passed, because it seems like they want to take over our planning and rezoning and development. I mean, how many more of these bills are they going to pass that's going to tie our hands?
If you want me to answer how many they've already passed, too many for me to count. But and I'm also going to tell you, they're not going to stop.
Oh.
And I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a lousy idea that they're taking away our rights as commissioners and our rights to govern Walton County. But do I think they're going to ever stop? No, I don't. And I agree with you. We need to stay updated on this. And Mr. Brannon, I'm sure you're capable of keeping us updated on all of this. For me, I'm not speaking for Mr. Curry or any of the other board members, but I would like at least every couple of months at the minimum that you come here and tell us how these bills are going and any other bills that are going to affect Walton County. And but You're going to be very angry for a while, Mr.
I don't know if I get much angrier than I am.
I promise you, and I agree with you. I'm angry too.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
2 months probably wouldn't really help because they'll be out of last year they were out of session for 105 days, but that's neither here nor there. There is one other bill that needs to be monitored, and that's, I think it's SB 479. Basically takes us out of regulating zoning changes for agriculture, which would be that's the reason why what we did a while ago was so important, because we got to have some mechanism to stop this stuff. If and they seem to be intent on running everything out of Tallahassee, and it's like Mr. Brannon and I were talking earlier. It's like a pendulum, and when he was involved in the early 2000s, DCA was in existence, and they did everything. And the board had to run everything by, and what was it, 50 acres?
Anything over 50 acres.
The year amendments couldn't be over 50. I mean, they had to be over 50. It was just a nightmare. And Senator Scott, when he was governor, eliminated all that. And so the pendulum swung all the way to the county, and the county had great discretion. And now the legislature is trying to rein us out of it. And these bills, and there's probably a dozen more that are going to do the same thing. So I think
Monthly?
I think just
whatever you
give Mr. Brannon the discretion to come to us at any time, because
I would at least say monthly and then add in.
Yeah.
I think he should have the authority and the ability to come every meeting.
I agree.
As long as the legislature is in session, because the legislature, they'll be gone in 2 months, and we'll have all, and 180 was passed on the last 2 days. I mean, nobody knew anything about it, and then all of a sudden they changed it 2 days, and you know, their process is greatly different from ours.
And I'm just saying, knowledge is power. You can get behind something if you got enough time. But when you're fourth quarter with 1 minute left, unless you're Chicago Bears, you can't. All you got to do is watch. You can't do anything about it.
Mr. Brannon, you've got your marching orders.
Yes, sir.
Now, if we could get on to the bills, because I'm sure that's why we're all
absolutely.
here.
Yes.
Take
them how you want them.
Okay. Scott Brannon, for the record, BRANNON. The first bill that Commissioner Curry is Senate Bill 208. We discussed it a little bit. That bill requires local governments to base and disclose development application fees on actual cost and adopt objective standards for assessing residential compatibility. So it goes to speak to the compatibility a little further. It requires local governments to define compatibility by detailing each area of incompatibility and consider mitigation standards if you're using that as a basis to deny residential development. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let me regress a minute. Your next board meeting, I'll be back before you, giving you a full report as the beginning of session. Session opened yesterday, was the first day of session. So I'll give you a report. Ms. Heffley will help me, Ms. Horton will help me, she will kind of construct, and I will present it to you. We'll do it, we pick the midpoint maybe as a good time to do that again. I'm not sure the actual date of that. We see what maybe is going to, feather out what's going to be moved forward. And then there'll be a post session to her when she comes to give her report. In the intermediate, monthly, I'll be glad, like I said last time, provide you monthly reports, so she provides them to me. But yes, this is going to be this session. I think FAC and looking at small counties, the overall kind of theme is to deal with the home rule issue and what happened with 180 last time. So that Senate Bill 208. The other Senate bill was 246 that you mentioned that deals with conservation land. That basically just requires state agencies to publish some detailed information online before selling or exchanging conservation lands. It also requires that parcels that are proposed for exchange be appraised with certain criteria that would be lined out in that legislation. Senate Bill 354 is about blue ribbon projects. It basically establishes a new category of large-scale development projects to preserve natural areas while creating compact mixed communities with streamlined local approvals. One thing about that particular piece of legislation, it only applies to 10,000 acres or more that are contiguous. So that would be a very, very large development. And it has certain criteria for what comprises those blue ribbon projects. The Senate Bill 840 is to restrict impacted governments from enforcing or enacting certain post-hurricane land use regulations that include storm damage property repairs. This is not a full repeal of Senate Bill 180. This Senate bill doesn't currently have a House companion yet, but it stops short of the full repeal of the retroactive measures that were in 180. What it does is it actually shortens the duration time quite a bit and removes some of the language that was provided for attorney fees, collecting attorney fees for a developer. So there's a lot of work to be done on that one still. Like I said, there's no House companion. I assume that that'll be a major topic as we move forward. Also, when we provide the monthly updates, I'll make sure all of you have hearing schedules. Any of these bills that we put on in our thing, when hearings will be had, and if you want to watch, you can do that on the Florida channel pretty easily. Or if you want to attend, I know we attended some last year with with Commissioner Anderson and Gleibel with the beach. So with that, those are those bills. Now, Commissioner Curry, what we'll make sure is when I come back next meeting, when we do the full report, I'll incorporate those that you gave me into that report too. If there's any more additional information about our next meeting, I'll give you that then. And
Scott, can you put this on the website, the committees that are hearing these bills? Because
yes,
there may be some people that want to go over.
That's a great idea.
Speak for these committees.
Yes.
It's a great idea. Yes.
Now, did I read, some of them I didn't have a chance to actually pull up and get in depth, but some of them seem like they want to bypass public hearings and they want the staff to okay without public input or public.
Yes, sir. That's correct. The theme is to streamline the approval process with local governments is in that fashion.
So the folks basically, I hope they're listening. So it's not allowing the folks to give input. It's going strictly to staff to okay. We don't get to see any of it. If all this was okay tomorrow.
If it was okay tomorrow, correct. Yes.
I think a caveat to that is not only would it be administratively approved, but the staff has it would limit the staff's ability, or it would restrict them to certain reasons to deny a project. And in other words, it would make it very difficult to.
Right. Senate Bill.
Basically a rubber stamp.
Basically.
Right. Senate Bill 208 specifically talks about the compatibility issue, that if anything is denied based on the compatibility or is conditioned, or conditions placed on it by that it calls for the staff to identify each area of that incompatibility and to provide mitigation measures for the landowner or developer for that. So what all that really means will shake out as it moves forward, if it moves forward. But that's where it's at right now. So,
okay.
And Scott, you may not have had a chance to really review since Commissioner Glidewell just put it on. Do you have any information?
429.
Senate Bill 479.
479. I don't. Not today.
Okay. We'll get that one for our.
Okay. Yes, sir. I've got 479, and if there's any that come up between now and the next meeting, just shoot them to me. I'll get them over to Kelly, and we'll incorporate that in the next report.
Definitely HB 927 and SB 1138.
What do those do? Or do I dare ask?
Those
numbers.
HB 927 and SB 1138. I won't belabor the length of the bill, but as you all know, and there's a variety of bills under the building code that are still adjusting the building code with regard to private inspections. If passed, this would shift substantial portions of land use, plat, and development review work out of the county The conceit is we take too long, we don't get it done. So now a developer can hire a quote qualified contractor to do the review on their behalf and turn it in, and we have to accept it. That's the worst case scenario of those two bills.
Yeah, make sure you have a full report on
There's a
those.
lot of legwork in front of that, but it's being touted as the planning review version of those private building inspections.
So do we need to add a couple of chairs up here for some folks from Tallahassee to be on this board since they're going to be running it all?
They may take all these chairs away before that.
I don't doubt it. I had that conversation with one of them, and I thought he was joking. 11 months later, here we are.
That's been the state's plan since I've been in office. And every year they've, as Commissioner Johns can tell you, they've taken a little bit more authority away from the counties. And it's not for any other reason than to hurry up the process. So, to the residents, I would say it never hurts to go speak before those committees, so.
Commissioners, you'll be over in Tallahassee. I think most of you will be on the 21st coming up, so we'll have a chance to.
Any of these going to be there so we can have that opportunity?
Sir?
Any of these going to be heard while we're there?
I'm not sure.
You are our tour guide, aren't you?
Right.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but we'll make sure if they are that we'll provide you that schedule. So, and two, we haven't done it in the past, but FAC has a pretty vigorous schedule with hearings and stuff that you can. I know Commissioner Gladwell's participated through that group in Small Counties Coalition before. You know, as an entity, they look at these, specifically the home rule type legislation. I would suppose FAC has taken an issue on all of these issues, and so we'll follow it through that, plus individually as well. So.
Does that do it for you, Mr.
Thank you.
Curry?
Yeah, and I'll see you. I'll be back at the next meeting to give you a full report. Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gladwell.
Well, now that you've thoroughly depressed us,
I'll do my best.
the goal of the I'll just take a point of personal privilege. The goal of some people in Tallahassee is to make the words that Florida is a pro-development state, not just words, but they mean for just about everything to get approved, and it not take very long to do it. And so we're just going to, as Mr. Brannon said, the FAC, Small County Coalition, the League of Cities are all fighting this stuff, but it's an uphill battle, and we need to get on with. We need to be active participants. I just have one item. Paxton Cemetery is a city operated cemetery. Been there a pretty good while. And the front parking is been there, and it's not in the best of shape. Recently, a elderly lady was injured. She fell down. Her walker got stuck in the mud that was out there. So anyways, the city has approached Public Works to replace some pipe, resurface it, and do some drainage improvements on that parking that's on our right-of-way. And so I asked Public Works to get me a price. They did. So I make a motion that we encumber $18,000 of the District 2 discretionary funds.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Any discussion from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. 4-0.
I appreciate and I'm sure the citizens up there appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Mr. Johns?
Okay, yes, I had just a couple of things. The first one is we have discussed, and we've really not moved anywhere on a TDC executive director. I recommend that we recruit a TDC executive director. The precedence was established already with having the director reporting to the board, and it's a model that's worked in the past. Not having an executive director it's budgeted and the TDC has requested this. I think it's time that we move forward with this. Not to have one over the past few years represents a shift away from the model that's really worked for the county for many, many years. And the cost of this, I know that's going to be one of the, questions, but it's small compared to the size. The fact that the TDC is as large as it is and it's got the funding that it has, to have somebody that works directly for the board and is able to strategize and have oversight and everything that's necessary, I think it's time, instead of kicking this can down the road any longer, I think it's time that we go ahead and take a stand and we follow through with what the TDC has asked for and the fact that it's already been budgeted, and see if we can move forward with HR recruiting and finding somebody that would fit for that position.
Mr. Chairman?
I would like to make that a motion.
I'll second it.
I think the board voted, that we didn't vote to do that under the board. It was actually to be under the county administrator. And so that's the first problem, is that we didn't vote to do that. We voted to keep it under the county administrator, and I believe it should be. And I just don't see, it's going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to do something that I think Mr. Algren is doing a great job, and I think Mr. Irvin will do a great job. I just don't see the need in spending all that money.
We've already budgeted for it, and the
Just-
TDC has requested it. And we've
Brian,
had
didn't you
this
just
in the
say that we
past.
don't know who's going to direct this person?
So the way we left it at the last time was I had requested, where do you want that person placed in the management hierarchy? And we didn't make a decision on that.
We didn't
That's what I
make a
thought.
decision.
Right. So we just left it like it is, and I think it's important that we determine where that person is going to sit in that org chart, because I think it will have a impact on who applies and who gets hired.
And as we all know, it takes time to do this, so it's not something that's going to happen in a month or two.
Well, so we're ready. HR has the job description developed. We're ready to advertise. We now know how to advertise, not that we didn't before, but we can reach out, what I would consider, a regional search. I mean, if you want to go national, we'll do that. I feel like we can attract good talent within our region, and I feel like somebody from this region ought to probably have the job, somebody that develops tourism for the mountains, I think it's a little different for the beach, and particularly for Walton County.
Right.
As Commissioner Anderson said a while ago, it ain't a sin to not spend money. You can leave it in the bank.
Well, and
I don't think we're being hurt right now.
Mr. Johns, I would ask that before we take a vote, that you withdraw this and put it on the next meeting in the south end, because if it's a 2-2 vote, you're going to have to do that anyway. And I got a feeling it's going to be a 2-2 vote. I would prefer.
He's saying that he thinks it'll be a 2-2 vote, and he suggests that I remove it from today's agenda and bring it up at the next meeting on the south end.
And just so that we can get either a 3-2 vote for or a 3-2 vote against.
I'm okay with that.
Is that
Well,
okay
I
with
have-
you, Mr. Curry?
That's fine.
It'll be a
As long-
2-2.
Whatever Commissioner Johns, if she
Okay.
decides to do that, that's fine.
Is that okay?
It's acceptable.
Okay.
I'll put it on the next agenda.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Johns. And now your next one?
Thank you, yes. And my next one is about code. I brought this up in November, and I had asked that we do something to find out how we're going to handle all the fines. And we keep incurring additional fines. I think some of them have been paid at this point. I think that we've had some movement. Tony, would you mind coming up and giving us a little briefing on this? We're just trying to get a remedy and try to whether it's an amnesty day, whatever it is that we can have to kind of bring it up to current level. And one thing I want to mention as well is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times when these cases go to the magistrate reduces the fine by sometimes as much as 95%. And even things that are in our code, like for instance, if you're driving on the beach and you're not supposed to be driving on the beach, and our statute states that you're going to receive a fine of whatever the amount is, then that should be what it is. But actually, I think what's happening is when it gets to the magistrate, it's forgiven. So I feel like the code folks that are working hard out there and trying to do their job feel like they're spinning their wheels because they're doing their job, and then when it goes to the magistrate, a lot of it's just forgiven.
Yes, ma'am. Tony Cornman for Code Compliance. So let me clarify a couple things there. The only fines that can be reduced are those that become in compliance. So if they're still out of compliance, they can't come back before the magistrate and ask for a fine reduction. But if they have gained compliance and it just took a little longer than anticipated and they have some fines, then statute allows them to come back before the magistrate to request that. And I think I shared with each one of you, and it does average our street code cases. This year we took 19 cases that came into compliance that had requested a fine reduction back before the magistrate. I think it averaged out to be about a 90% reduction in the fines. Our short-term rentals, we took a few of those back for a fine reduction as well, and I think those averaged about 93% reduction. What we have found out as late as today, checking with other counties, they basically do it the same way we do. The magistrate sets the fine, so it's their fine to reduce or whatever. So they basically do the same thing, and from what we're hearing from them is that the fines are reduced. It's all over the place, depends on the circumstances, and sometimes he wipes them completely out, sometimes it 90% or whatever. So we're not the only one that does it like that. We checked with Bay, we checked with Escambia, and I think we're in the process of checking with Okaloosa to see how they do it. So it's the same way as what we're doing.
And what's the process for the ones that have not come in compliance?
The ones that have not come into compliance, as you recall a few meetings ago, y'all passed a resolution that allows us now to move forward with a foreclosure process on those that's non-homesteaded. As you had mentioned back in, I think it was November, or first part of December, I can't remember exactly, y'all instructed us to get with admin and come up with an amnesty program to try to clear some of those off the books. After speaking with Mr. Kellenberger, he directed us to get with legal. We did, and we discussed a few things with legal. We reached out to probably 10 or 12 different counties and seen how they done it. In our meeting with legal, we turned that over to them, and we also found an Attorney General opinion that's pretty old, but it is Attorney General opinion that basically, the way I read it, was that the board can't do anything with the fines. It's the magistrates or code board, whichever one you have, fines. They're the only ones that can reduce those, and I'm sure Mr. Atkinson can clarify if I messed up.
In sum, the Attorney General opinion broadly still applies. What you can't do is you can't say, I'm going to reduce this fine, I'm going to reduce this class of fines. You can, however, and I think it's always been widely recognized in other counties of the state do it, prescribe as part of your code ordinance, if we wish to adopt an ordinance, that we encourage compliance, and to encourage compliance done in certain timeframes or in certain classes of cases are therefore encouraged to receive additional reduction by the magistrate. So you're not telling him what to do, you're just saying, these are the fines we'd like to see you focus on reducing if they have done it versus these are the ones not to. So you can look at some of those things, but ultimately that old AG opinion talks about the fine is effectively owned by the code board, and the magistrate in our case is the code board. And the code board is the only one who can place them. It's the only one who can remove them. Corollary is it's the only one who can reduce them. So one thing we are looking at is ways we can update your ordinance and policies to potentially give us the option of discussing the types of fines we're not seeing get paid, the type of non-compliance or long-term compliance issues that we can then try to create some incentives and inducements on.
Mr. Chair, can I ask Mr. Ankis a question? Sure. So, say we want to say in our ordinance that that the maximum that a fine can be reduced is 75% or 50% or whatever the percentage is, but can we put in our code a cap or a limit as to how high they can go in reducing that fine?
I've not found where anyone has done that successfully. I can tell you where there have been limitations on reduction. Typically, those have been challenged. For instance, the most common limitations on reduction we've seen that have not been upheld were the ones where a limitation of reduction was directly tied to the amount of the cost of cleanup. You did X cleanup, you can get that much money off and not a dime more. But I do believe we can put focus on or limitation on the magistrate or in terms of our directive and policy for certain classes of fines that have been too old, that have been a continued environmental concern, things that may be creating irreparable harm that the board does not have the ability to fix. The one area where we have definitively seen the ability to give something more than just broad guardrails to the magistrate is when a matter has been deemed a health or public safety hazard and the board has taken corrective measures where we incur our own money expense to go out there and fix it because it's causing harm to other neighbors or something else, and that becomes part of the fine. In those cases, boards have had the ability, as part of an ordinance adopting those programs, and when they do that, elaborating what's allowed in the Florida statute, to say that no portion of that can be reduced because the board's already actually incurred taxpayer dollars. In those cases, and there's not, I would go ahead and tell you right now, there's not a lot of appellate case law on this, so it's not like we're doing a binding case law that's going to say yes, you can or not. But from the orders we've seen at trial court levels and the attempted research, and you don't find all of those are the ones that have been upheld. So the idea has been it has to serve a public purpose to not have that reduction tied to something we've actually done, not something we haven't done. So we can look at a few of those, and we're looking at some options and going to try to be creative for you on this.
So I brought this up. I can't remember how many meetings ago. So this is the frustration from my point. We started out, and the number was, and I know it changed, Mr. Corman, it's like 24 million that we didn't. Then it went to 20 million, and then there was discrepancies about when the fines dropped off. Was it 10 years, 20 years? We figured out it was 20 years, correct? So now we're down to, I don't know how much we dropped off, a few $1 million. I mean, there's nothing written in stone on how much has dropped off, but now we're at 12 million. If we're just going to keep going this way, then what's the use of having fines? If we're not going to go by them and allow them to drop off with no penalties. I know we just did an ordinance, but these ordinances or rules are they worth the paper that they're on? Are we going to enforce them? How many I see that we've collected this year out of the $12 million, what is it, $85,000? $85,000 out of an outstanding of $12 million? That's how much we've collected?
Well, and understand these numbers change daily. Tomorrow we've got a code here, and there'll be more code cases presented tomorrow. So,
and these reoccurring costs, it would be more, instead of $12,111,000, it'd probably be $12,311,000.
It could be, but there's also there's 3 on the agenda tomorrow for fine reductions. So magistrate chooses to reduce those fines will come off because they've been reduced. So,
It's just frustrating to
changes-
have a
it
process
changes
that
daily.
appears that it doesn't really have teeth, you know? And I believe we need to have the process, and I believe we need to have the fines to keep people in check. But evidently, over many years, it ain't worked. Something's not working. So, I mean, I'm glad we went to the step with the ordinance with the foreclosure aspect, but I don't know. I appreciate what you're doing and trying, but, you know, I think sometimes, you know, we as a board don't give good direction.
well, and we, just so you know, our staff is working diligently trying to get these collected as much as we can. And as you mentioned, this year, fiscal year of 26, we've already collected $85,047.06, and which is about double what typically is collected. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I think some of these new resolutions, ordinances, or whatever is helping. Our direction was to try to come up with the amnesty program to eliminate some of them that, for whatever reason, it appears that we can't do that because we can't get rid of fines that's set by the magistrate. So,
well, it seems like the amnesty program is just waited out after 20 years or dropped off.
that's right. I think that's what we didn't want to do is make people believe if you just wait them out, after 10 years, they'll just waive the fee or whatever. So you don't want to do that.
Tony, did you say that we cannot do an amnesty program?
Well,
we can't unilaterally impose the reduction of fines. So that's the amnesty program we can't do. Can we develop another form of an amnesty program? We're looking at those options for you.
So we don't know for sure yet what we can do. So once we get to that point, and we do what we can do, and then y'all have already set the resolution about the foreclosure. Of course, the properties that are non-homesteaders are the only ones that qualify for that. Yep. Out of the 12 million that Commissioner Curry mentioned, 8 million of that roughly is non-homesteaded, and about 3 to 4 million is homesteaded. So,
Don't you have one in here that's, well, here's a few of them. You have one in here that's $759,000?
we've got one that is still accruing fines every day. That's 900,000.
So there's a prime example. Okay, there's 900. Nobody's going to pay that. So let's just wait it out. 20-year mark, we're done.
Well, and the 20-year mark, that's in statute. So, I mean,
If they sell it,
yeah, so let's.
we got a lien on it.
Well, and that's what happens a lot. People decide to sell, and whenever they decide to sell, that's whenever the lien pops up on them. So that's whenever they start squirming, wanting to do something.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mr. Callenberg.
So we've got 11 million plus in out of compliance fines still lingering.
11,094,885.75. That was as of January the 7th, because like I said, that changes daily. Every day.
Oh, we're over 12 by now.
Today, it'll be a different figure.
Go ahead, Mr. Callenberg.
Mr. Corman, do you track the rate or the number of cases that you bring into compliance? So like we track how much we have out there in fines. Do we track how many cases we close that have now been brought into compliance?
Sure, yeah, we can come up with that number. Actually, this past year, we took, I think it was 122 cases before the magistrate. Of course, not all of those went into fines because and the way the process works is code. When we get a complaint, we work with people. We try to get them in compliance. We give them deadlines. If they don't meet those deadlines, we serve them with a notice of hearing. We present them to the magistrate. We do that once a month. The magistrate, if he finds that they are in violation, we have to present our case, and if the magistrate finds that they are in violation, he typically will give them, he usually asks them, how much time do you need to correct this? And if they say 30 days, 60 days, he usually gives them that. So they get another 30 or 60 days to come into compliance. Then after that deadline passes, We do an inspection to see if they're in compliance. If they're not, we go back and file an affidavit of non-compliance. We file an order imposing fines, and then the fines start accruing from there.
Right. So do you feel with these mechanisms that we've put in place recently, or a change in policy of how we administrate Florida Statute 162, do you feel that we're gaining compliance at a more rapid rate? Like when you get a case to when you get them in compliance? And then overall, do you feel like the cases you're getting more of those to in compliance as to sitting out there with a fine waiting for some other force to make them come?
Yes, I do believe that. And keep in mind, the cases that are 7 million, 6 million, whatever it is, are 900,000, 600,000, those cases are 15, 16 years old. They've been sitting there for all these years.
So the point I was trying to make is I feel like the decisions by the board, decisions by Mr. Corman's group, is we're getting what we want to get, and that is getting properties in compliance. We don't want to saddle properties with huge fines to the point where they can't even sell them, because then that property just sits out there and nobody does anything with it. Until we come to a amnesty program, Defuniak Springs, some property that we bought, that's how we were able to do it. It had enormous fines on it. And, we worked with Defuniak Springs and CRA, I think, to reduce some of those fines to make that property, worth buying. So,
And I just want to reiterate that I ultimately agree that our end goal is to be in compliance, and that's what code is about, is being in compliance. My observation or my gripe is the process behind the scenes. If everybody gets in compliance, great. I have no problem with that. No fines. But when you look at a graph and you see somebody who has $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 of outstanding fines, the process failed. However, I don't care who the finger points at, but that process failed if you're almost $1 million in fines and there's nothing being done about it. So I commend the compliance aspect of it, because that's what you want codes to do. You want to get people into compliance. But then the other end of the spectrum is that large dollar amount that nothing's being done with. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Corman.
And let me just add, we have found that, so the way it works is, when we find the violation, we serve them a notice of violation. We tell people you got 30 days to get this fixed. Sometimes they are slow to start moving. Usually when we serve them that notice of hearing and they know we're serious, that's whenever they start moving. So maybe part of what we need to do is start serving those notices of hearings a little earlier.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you're working together and you're getting things done.
Yep.
And I see that you've moved it forward this year, so thank you for that. But I just want to make sure that we're moving in the right direction and that we can clean up some of this stuff. And as far as whether it's amnesty or whatever we can end up doing, because those that are in compliance, I really hate the fact that if they're in compliance, but they haven't paid and they're still adding on to that just doesn't seem quite right to me.
Well, if they're in compliance, their fines stop.
Okay.
They're set. Now, there's still a lien until they pay it, and we have I think we've done 72 mailings where we notified those people, just to remind them, you have a lien on your property if you pay this fine or we gave them the options. They can either pay it or request a fine reduction through the magistrate. And that's where I think we're seeing some of the movement. People know that, and so they're starting to do that.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
I don't have anything. We'll go to public comment.
Chair.
I have any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Chair, at the end, could I just have a statement when we're all done? Can I just have one statement when we're all done? Can I do it right now? Yeah. Okay. Great.
We'll do it before that. Yeah, go ahead and do it before.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted
Come
to.
up. After he states, you will speak.
I just wanted to say we saw today with the preservation or the conservation preservation idea go forward. We saw a small step towards something in unity up here, that is going to benefit the county. And we've also seen several Senate bills that could possibly take us 5 steps back. So I just hope that everybody that is watching this gets on their computer and sends their state representatives their concerns with these bills. I'm going to do the same thing. But you saw today where we took a minute step forward to preserve some of our land here, our conservation preservation land, and then you also saw all these bills that will tie our hands at just diminishing any progress we take forward. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and spell it for them.
Good afternoon again. Kim Falconer, Falconer. And I just wanted to say I'm really disappointed that you did not support the $5,000 grant for Summit on the Circle. Your own very pricey tourism consultants just recommended arts, culture, music, educational events for North Walton County in the last meeting. And here we have Diane Pickett, who is really spending most of her own money to put that very type of event together. It brings in the community, both North Walton, South Walton. It brings them together for a very nice event. It brings in youth from our schools, not only as attendees, but as part of the programming. And, it's a shame because you're considering spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to find out if a bathroom is going to be appropriate for one of the rarest places on earth, Eastern Lake. And I hope that if she does come back and ask for it, you will reconsider that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Morano.
Thank you, Commissioners Barbara Morano. I'll be brief. Commissioner Curry, thank you for bringing up those bills. If you want people to write, and by the way, Commissioner Anderson and Commissioner Glywell, you mentioned, I think the Director of Governmental Relationships needs to come to every meeting. And if you want people to write in, the PIO could put something out so people will have the address of our representatives, could actually say what kind of bill it is, because not everybody is listening today, but a lot of people get emails in their email box. So I think that's simple for the PIO to get in touch with our Director of Governmental Relations and get something written up so people can send in, and then have Scott Brandon come every time to a meeting. I think you have all the directors all the time sitting in the back. Why not him? The second thing, I want to shout out to Mr. Ryan Adams and Josh Irwin. When we had a public workshop last night on Eastern Lake, I kind of shuddered before I went, and I thought, oh, Lord, it's 3 minutes. They're going to shut us down. It's going to be just like you-know-what that I experienced. But it wasn't. They really had a great meeting last night. It was only an hour. It gave everybody an opportunity. They didn't shut anyone down. But the resounding end result of that meeting of 60 people was a no. No is a complete sentence. They didn't want anything done to our rare coastal dune lake, not only rare in Walton County, rare in the world. I did mention to them that the next day you were going to talk about a conservation easement to protect farmland. I told them, and if you go into that video, you'll hear me again, the coastal dune lakes are just as special as our farmland, and it's not costing you any money to put anything on conservation except to just say no. The two let me just see. Commissioner Curry, you did attend last night, and thank you. And I did see you did make a visit to the coastal dune lakes. Commissioner John, I understand you also went. I invite the other 3 commissioners, if you're not familiar with Eastern Lake, to call one of those neighbors, call me. I'll be happy to take you around. And again, a shout out to those 2 directors and assistant director for running a great meeting. I think you would be very impressed with which you did. And when it's $500,000 just to do a study. Nobody wants you to spend TDT money to do anything to Eastern Lake. So thank you.
Thank you.
A little clarification on that. It wasn't $500,000 to do a study. That was the full-blown design development, contract administration, the whole gamut to get us from digging or starting to end. It was a little over 40 grand to do a conceptual design and property assessment.
And that was presented, and everyone said no to that as well.
Mr. Irvin will be back before y'all the next meeting with an update on that and a request for direction on how to proceed.
Well, I think the next time it comes up before the board, you're going to have those 60 people here, and they're going to ask you to say no. For our rare coastal dune lake, we want those just as much treated like the farmland. Thank you.
I do want to piggyback on that the staff ran an excellent meeting. I appreciate what they did, letting the folks speak. It was very well put on. Thank you.
Which one of you, Mr. Whitaker or Mr. Bagby, had your hand up? All right, you go first, Mr. Bagby. Mr. Whitaker goes next, and then you, Tabitha. And Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Bagby, BAGBY. I know I have to address my questions to you, but this is probably for Clay. At what point do you file the lien? Because I don't believe in amnesty, and I don't believe it. Definitely, there is no broad amnesty.
You have my permission to ask.
So when the magistrate issues its order, that gets recorded, that becomes the lien.
Okay.
And then the fine just accrues daily.
Okay.
So the fine, think of the fine accruing daily like interest.
Right. And when do you file a foreclosure on non-homesteaded properties?
Well, whenever the board directs us to. The board's never directed that to happen.
And they've never directed that to happen. And that is where you need to start, because once people understand that you're serious about collecting these fines, they will start paying these fines. And even if you don't get your money out of this because you are not first in line or because they've put it in some kind of legal limbo where to prevent you from getting all your money, the fact that you get it foreclosed and get it in the hands of somebody who will either A, bring it into compliance, or B, pay the fines, will take you a lot further down the road than you are now. That's the step you need to take. Foreclose on some of these properties, and you can, I don't know if the 900,000 is homesteaded or non-homesteaded, and I don't know if it's eligible to be foreclosed on. That's Mr. Atkinson. But some of these, I guarantee you, are eligible to be foreclosed on, and I would encourage you to do that and let the people that are accruing these fines know you are serious about collecting the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bagby. Mr. Whitaker, I think you were next.
We have discussed that, to put the houses in foreclosure. So I believe.
It's been a good meeting, and I would like to commend you all on the coming together on the Walton Forever land. I'd like to also read a statement here, if I may. A dais, a low platform for lectern or seats of honor. That's where y'all sit, right? When that cell phone goes off, it's aggravating to us out here as much as it should be up here. I would ask you, strongly ask you, somebody get a couple of people get a spine and make a motion to ban cell phones from being at the dais. You, sir, today and on December 9th in this room, asked the gallery to turn theirs off. Mr. Drake sat there in that chair that same meeting, and his went off 3 times. At Santa Rosa Beach meeting, in the last meeting of December, you didn't mention it. His went off even when Mr. Curry was trying to bring this up. It just shows disrespect in my manners. It really does. So I hope that y'all will take the step and ban them from up here, or at least turn them off totally. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Ms. Howard. Tabitha Howard.
It's freezing in here.
Yes, it is.
Tabitha Howard, HOWARD. And I wanted to say thank you very much, Donna, for bringing this up with the code, because I myself, I just find it quite selective, because my mind was rewinding back to a moment when there was a gentleman in here that was he was going on hard times, and this was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and he was being threatened with a lien, and yes, he collected too many things in that nature, but I think the community got together to help this man so that he wouldn't lose everything. And the code is selective with who things, with the process of who's going to be fined and who isn't, who gets liens and who does not. So it is something that does need to be looked at. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Ms. Leitner, thank you. You don't have to spell your name, Ms. Leitner. I think you got it.
I really hate bringing this up, but I think it has to be brought up. While I believe our county attorney is a very good and very competent attorney, some of my concerns about conflicts I feel are being realized now. When the city council realized that they're going to have to give up their fire department or couldn't afford their fire department anymore, they started looking into options. The first was to get rid of the CRA altogether and divert those funds back into the city to pay for the fire department needs. That was a no vote. Then they voted to cut back the funding of the CRA. That was a no vote. Through numerous meetings, there were discussions back and forth between council members on whether to cut the funding or to cut back the footprint of the CRA to save money in that way. Through none of these conversations did the city attorney make clear to the city council, you can't cut back the footprint. Only the CRA can come to you and do that. You can't do that until last night. And the city was on there, that was their last card to play. So they tried to do that and then they couldn't do it. So last night is when most of them found out that you can't do that. And I certainly didn't know that.
Well, Ms. Leitner, I'll comment on that. I know a council person said that from the dais. That was actually brought up well over a year ago by a council member who's no longer on the city council. That matter was discussed at length by that council member, the then executive director of the CRA and the chairman of the CRA at that time. And it was repeatedly discussed to ask the CRA to look at what part of the undeveloped section of the city could be cut out to allow them to make that recommendation to make the district more manageable. So with all due respect to the council person who said they never heard that before.
Not just one.
Well, every council member that has sat up there when that came up originally has heard that. They were well aware, and it's not the CRA who cuts it back. The CRA just has to make the recommendation. That's all that has to happen under the statute. And that's not my opinion. That's the Florida law. Statute says that a change to the plan has to be recommended by a CRA.
And I get all of that, and that's not really what this is about. But Clay, let me ask you, do you not think it would have maybe been prudent for you to point that out to them when they were discussing it in all these meetings? Hey, remember.
It was brought up once, Ms. Leitner, once, and the council person who brought it up pivoted to cutting that back. The council never took the issue up beyond that because they wanted to cut the funding back.
Okay.
Ms. Leitner, I sit here and answer questions all the time like I do for the city.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I also talk to every one of these council members, every of these commissioners here, and every council member that wishes to speak to me.
Sure.
They are always welcome to call me. I've talked to members up here after hours, holidays, weekends.
Okay.
And so, Ms. Leitner, with all due respect, if a member of one of the boards I represent has a concern with the advice that they don't think I'm giving them, they're welcome to bring it up. But I can tell you on this instance, every single member of that council has understood what they can do with the CRA if they have come to talk to me about it. If they have not, I will make it very clear.
Sure.
I can only answer a question.
And I get that it's not your job to babysit, but I just feel like with everything happening, you could have said, hey. But anyway, in addition to that, the city says that the sheriff has told them that he can run the fire department. And please, I'm not attacking you. This bothers me.
Okay.
The sheriff can run the fire department for $1 million a year. That's $900,000 less than the current budget. This would include the immediate needs of a ladder truck, 2 new stations, only 1 new station in the immediate future, and raises for all the staff to come up to the county pay level. How does the sheriff have money to do this? I understand that he gets money from other sources, but some of these needs are going to be immediate, and even that first $1 million isn't going to be enough to cover it. So where is the sheriff getting this money from? If he's got it sitting back somewhere, then why is he asking for so much from us? He can't even build his own stations or keep his current obligations staffed fully, the obligations that he has to you currently. Also, how does Clay fairly advise on any of this at this point? The city council, the CRA, and the BCC. He's the attorney for all involved parties, the first cousin of the person who would be awarded the contract, and a business owner who could potentially benefit from current and future CRA projects. It's time this board give him a choice. Maintain his private practice and represent the county because
Mr.
he does a
Chairman,
great job. I'm not
she's
finished.
raising an issue the Florida bar has already
Removing
well taken
himself
up.
from all other local
This is
local
unacceptable
boards
for her to raise
or
something the Florida
part
bar has
ways
already
with the county.
adjudicated.
Leitner, your
You
time is
also
up.
need, no, my time's not up because you've overtalked me the whole time. You guys also
cut
should
your
probably have a
time off
discussion
when
with
we
the
did.
sheriff
Your time
about how he's got money to take on contracting jobs and still asking for so much from the county. Still not even staffed to handle county obligations that he's already obligated to you for. We're asking
Leitner,
that our
your time
attorney
is
work for
up.
us and not for everybody else. How can they trust this?
Your time is up.
Do you want me to wait for you to come get me? Or you tired? You need to take a walk?
Les.
The Florida bar has already addressed the question of conflict on this case, and I do not represent the sheriff for a variety of reasons, not the least of which that he is a member of my family. But I would note that the Board of County Commissioners, as was addressed last night, and I'll go ahead and say right here for you, the city voted to ask the city manager to come to you at a future meeting to ask, will this board take money out of its budget to help fund the city fire department? I don't want you to discuss that here tonight because the city manager will make that presentation. But candidly, they can come ask you for anything and you can say yes or no. I won't be here talking about that either way. It is an ask from one agency to another. Interlocal government cooperation requires the two of you to cooperate or you don't do it. They can't sue you for not doing it. You can't sue them for asking you. That being said, fire rescue services is a discretionary choice of every county in the state of Florida. It is a service you can choose to provide, and if you do, you have to follow certain minimums, but you are not required to provide it. As far as I understand, the contract with this county is a contract to Walton County Fire Rescue, or for Walton County Fire Rescue to be managed by the Sheriff's Department. That well predates me. And certainly if the board thinks that I shouldn't negotiate a future contract with the sheriff, we can have those conversations. But again, I do not represent the sheriff whatsoever.
I do. I mean, she did raise a point with the budgetary question. I mean, that's a head scratcher to me. If he can manage that, that whole entity for $1 million less. I don't know how, is there any way we could, if this is going through, I don't even know where this is at. I didn't go to the meeting.
The answer last night was so the sheriff has given an informal proposal, not a formal term sheet. He said these basically presented to the city manager, this is what I believe I could do it for. If the council wants to go enter into negotiations and formalize this, we can do it. But this is what I think I can do it for. That's been what's sent. The council last night directed the city manager to do three things. One, go to the sheriff and develop a term sheet and come back so they get more information. If you listen to the meeting, I think you'll hear that said several times. Get more information was about. Let's bring back a contract. We know what the concept looks like. Is that $1 million a year forevermore, $1 million this year with a cost escalator? CRA improving the fire department? Is it not? All those questions. Two, to come to you and ask you, in lieu of that, would this county, this Board of County Commissioners, help fund the city fire department? Three, start the process of scheduling and advertising for special meeting, and that was held back at the end. They'll take that up on the 26th to do their own special assessment for fire if they are to keep their own fire department. So absolutely nothing has gone through. It is still in the complete information gathering stage. That was all well documented in the meeting last night, and frankly, probably about a half dozen meetings before that if you go watch all of them.
Well, it looks like it all,
quite a bit.
It looks like it all boils down to two of those options are coming back here anyway.
Yes.
So, I mean, we're the ones.
I don't disagree with that.
Well, we're the ones writing the check, so I would assume that, is there anybody that's been in the talks yet on this? Has Brian been invited to anything? Has anybody been brought to the table and said, hey, this is what we're thinking?
They did. Sheriff for the fire rescue and representatives from the city came and met with us and some very preliminary discussions. At the point, there wasn't really an ask, it was just an idea. I did receive an email from Mr. Townsend today that he would like to come before this board at the next meeting to present this concept or this idea.
So let's give Mr. Townsend an opportunity. I'm sure Mr. Voss will be here as a representative of the fire district, and those questions can be asked.
Well, I just want to stay on top of some of these things. I mean, somebody made a joke earlier to me that if a drawer opens, I'm there. I can't be at all these meetings. So, I mean, I trust staff and I trust people to tell us these, or at least me. I'm not speaking for the rest of the board, but I don't need to hear from a citizen what's going on with a potential budgetary item from this county at the podium or off of Facebook or off of Nextdoor, or I have to go to the Defuniak Springs meeting and find out.
Until they ask us, I don't think I need.
Well, you sat down with them. I mean, you couldn't go ahead. I mean, we get preliminary meetings all the time about, you know,
But there
some
wasn't
of
an
the stuff
ask
is
from them.
dumb,
It
but
was just to sit down and talk about it. And I asked them a few questions, very similar to what Ms. Leidner has asked rhetorically. And they, went back to their table to figure out what they can do within their own budget or within their own resources.
When I believe Brian's question, I'll put a finer point on it. Brian's question to everybody in the room was, what's the county commission going to be asked to be put into it? I believe the answer you were given from Fire Rescues, we're not asking anything extra from the county. We're telling the city if they want additional service and us to manage it, this is what we would charge them. At that point, the county, without having an ask, I mean, last night was the first time a discussion of asking the Board of County Commissioners for anything was discussed by the city council at its level in a public meeting and voted on.
I mean, if ultimately the checkbook's going to be written up here, I mean, I think we need more involvement in it.
Well,
I think you do, but
Mr. Curry, I first heard about it yesterday. But until there's an ask of this board, then it's not something that we need to worry about or discuss until the city of Defuniak asks us and we have all the information that we need. Even if it starts at the next meeting, they want to come before us. We still got a long process ahead of us before we decide if we want to do it, don't want to do it. They came to Brian, I didn't even know that until he said this. But yet they haven't even approved in the city council yet what they want to do. So until we know what they want to do, and I'm sure we all, since we've heard it, we all have a preliminary opinion about it. But believe me, it will come to us before anything is done.
I'd prefer to be a little bit more proactive than reactive. I mean, we're talking about, well, when they're all said and done and after they discuss, then it'll come to us. And, well, I mean, if we're ultimately the ones writing the check, I want all the information.
We'll have it. Right now, there's no information to have because they haven't approved anything. They're talking about asking us to do that.
They voted to send the manager here to make a request of what this board would be willing to do.
And any information staff has is what they're telling us, which is very little, not staff, but the city. And so I have concerns just like you do. And I plan on finding out these concerns before the next meeting. But let's see, it may not even come to that. Okay,